fire for your mind. The Kosher Clinician.
You got to have a J.O.B. if you wanna be with me. I don't want no scrub. The scrub is a guy that can't get no. You gotta get him out there. You gotta get him out there.
Hit that like button and share this stream if you're not a beta male.
The women in their 50s, this generation of 50-year-olds, woo!
Women today are so gosh darn selfish that this is why so many women get angry when you ask, what do you bring to the table? And their answer is, bring to the table? I'm not bringing anything to the table because I'm not going to allow you to use me. That's why that question infuriates women right off the rip. They don't want to be used. They want to use you. You are supposed to make their lives easier. And if you don't give them a life of upper middle class or lower upper class luxury, you don't matter. This is why you hear so many women saying, I can do bad all by myself. Meaning, why should I work a 40-hour-week job with a husband? Why should I be paying rent with a husband? Why should I be doing any of this stuff? But yet, you work harder. Single women work harder than other women because you do everything by yourself. You just don't recognize it until it's too late. You blew your youth when your counterparts who were looking to marry up and marry well were getting married their junior and senior year in college, the first and second year after college. They were married at 22 and 23, and you were laughing at those white girls and those Asian girls getting married at 22, 23. You getting married after college? That's too young. We need to go on girls trips and having our best life and hot girl summer and all this other bullshit. Now they're 10 years into their marriage, 3 kids deep, and their husband's a VP of marketing somewhere. And while you still got you and your cats are living in a loft downtown, driving your BMW in a middling career. You ain't on no career track. You blew your youth. You blew your youth. You can't get that back.
Your eyes tell me that you don't want to leave just yet. No, my eyes agree. It's almost like when we first met. Oh, I don't care, it's getting too late. I want you and I can't wait. Don't want to spend a minute without you. I know you feel the same. So come on, give me love. I'ma show you how to move with my body. Come hit me with your touch and make me wanna say, damn. And yeah, you know what's up. Ain't nothing I won't do for your body. So give me all you got right now. I know I'm yours, baby. So come give me love. You know you're my baby. So come give me love. I never felt nothing quite like this. I get high every time.
Hit that like button and share this stream if you're not a beta male.
Nigga ass, loser ass nigga.
Your video with comments about
He's a
certain
loser.
other female.
Just to let you niggas know, we don't need y'all. We want y'all, but we don't need you.
20 years later.
Our black men, we want all y'all back. Because we love you, we see you, kings. And most importantly, we need you. And most importantly, we need you.
And most importantly, we need you.
You can't.
If you a that's for the streets.
You can't delete the ski. You can't delete the ski.
I know a who used to suck dick every month of night.
You can't
delete your
You got to have a J.O.B. if you wanna be
Black man exposes. In under 3 minutes, when a man goes through something, nobody gives a damn. Is it true? And how should the world respond to the suffering of men in crisis? Watch until the end, you won't believe what he said. Should men check out, or should the world care?
Faith is before you. Choose wisely.
When a man go through something, don't nobody give a damn. I'm being honest, bro. When a man need help, everybody tell the man up. Get a better job. Get more money. But when a woman need help, everybody cool with it. The first thing they say is, where your man is. You know what I'm saying? The man should be doing it. You should be doing it by yourself. It's the man. The man. The man got to be the strongest person in the house. But when he weak, who helping that man be strong? You know what I'm saying? When that man going through something, who helping him? The man can't call on nobody. He got to do it all by himself. Even when he's stressed out, who helping the man? When he's suffering and struggling, who helping the man? He got to help himself. Ain't nobody standing with him, but he stand with everybody else. He pay everything. He do everything. He trying to keep everybody in order, trying to keep the kids in order, keep himself in order, keep his spirit in order, keep his mind in order. Who gonna keep the man in order when he out of order? When he needs somebody to help him. But a woman help everybody cool with it. Nobody say shit. Everybody got their back. But when a man go through something, he get stepped on, he get beat down, he get degraded, he get insulted, he get dragged down through the mud. You wonder what's wrong with these men. They going through it. They stressed the fuck out. They hurting inside, bro. Men get tired of every time something going wrong with them, everybody shut down on them, bro. Everybody turn around, turn their back, and like he ain't nothing because he a man. It feel like you ain't human when you a man. Like, bro, I gotta act like I ain't hurt. I gotta act like I don't wanna cry, bro. I gotta sit in the room and cry to myself, wipe my tears away, and come outside and smile at my kids and white face like I ain't going through shit. Like I ain't dealing with nothing. I know men feel like that sometimes, bro. You try to be tough, bro. I don't care how strong you think you will, bro. But when your heart get hurt, bro, it's different, bro. When your people laugh at you, bro, when you suffer, that shit different. That's a different feeling, man. It's a different feeling. I don't think nobody understand what the hell I'm talking about right now. No! It ain't always the man's fault when they should fail. It's because they failed him. When somebody failed you mentally and physically and emotionally, they failed you, bro. You try to spend time, they don't want time. You try to love them, they don't want love. They don't want a kid, they don't want nothing. They push you in the corner, bro. People push you in the corner and they expect you to smile while you in that corner hurting. You own family, they don't know you. Friends, they don't know you. You don't care about it, but damn, am I a bad person like that? Where everybody look down on me when I'm hurting? What?
Hit that like button and share this stream if you're not a beta male.
If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toast them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues. Absent fathers who miss you. Mama drama don't kiss you. All a part of the ritual. This is how they get you. Separate the men, women clipping babies pretend to. Damn. Lovers, haters acting like vultures. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen. Listen.
All right, guys, we're about to start in a minute. In 1 minute. Got peace of life in the house. All right, guys. Shout out to everyone that's watching. Y'all give me 1 minute. I got a lot of stuff going on, man. My brain is spinning. We got some true Gen Xers in the house. Peace of life. Seton Hall, All American.
Funny, man.
He used to bang them down low and more than one way.
Nah, man.
Let me stop.
Maybe. What's going on, my brother?
What's going on, man? All right, guys, we're about to get into it, guys. All right. Hey, man, thanks for tuning in, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this show with me.
Hey, the pleasure is mine.
And this is a special one, Peace of Life, because you and I are Gen Xers. We're from Gen X.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I are we beginning to see a precipitous change in modern women compared to what we saw in the past. And I heard you talk, when you and I talk in the past, you say they're insufferable. And and that resonated with me. And also there was a term that we talked about when we were teenagers. They were called chicken heads. So maybe I should have called it the rise of the rise of the chicken heads, man. Hold on, let's look at the thumbnail real quick. Maybe we should have called it the rise of the chicken heads, man. Rise of the chicken heads, because I don't know what is going on with Gen X women. They don't personify what perhaps we thought women should be. And I coined it something called the Gen X Nexus. And we're going to talk about the Gen X Nexus in a minute. But before you start, man, how are you doing, number one? And what do you remember about Gen X that you wish was happening now in modern times, man?
Well, first of all, I'm doing outstanding, my brother. Hope you're doing well as well.
Yes, sir.
And I think the biggest thing is that if you go back to the 80s, in many regards, we still had some remnants of the past.
Right.
That was still in the culture. And the difficult thing is that now the amount of programming that's out here now, because when social media really took off, we already had feminism. Feminism was here. The indoctrination was here. But they could only get feminism and the indoctrination through, archaic sources, television, magazines, and so commercials, and so on and so forth. But now with social media, it's like we've taken feminism to a whole new level, because feminism was never about equality. It was always about superiority and domination.
Right.
And these women, obviously they were feminists in many regards, or they were, it had been ingrained in their system. But the actual practicality of practicing it out here in the real world, or trying to really go through it when there was still some semblance of traditionalism left in the culture, left around, just even the dream or the idea of traditionalism was still around. you know. But now, and the limitations was there, because remember, to talk to a girl, you go back, especially if she only got a house phone. First of all, you had to have your change in your pocket. Then you had to make sure the payphone ain't busy. Somebody ain't calling somebody at the jail or somewhere else. So you had to wait your turn at the payphone. And you literally had to call her and catch her at the exact time when she was home. And so there wasn't this 24/7 of this thing in people's face. And the constant programming that exists out here right now, which is 24/7 in their face. We got TikTok, which is controlled by the CCP, the Communist Party of China. We got Instagram, we got Facebook.
Right.
So what's happening now is that we took the delusion that was being sold through feminism, and now we get it with manipulation by corporate-sponsored feminism and the Panda Bear community. We've got a church that's loaded with single mommies, so the prosperity gospel. So they're not getting truth from anywhere, because we've really turned the culture has been turned into complete gynocracy. A complete gynocracy, whereas there's no checks and balances for the women now. But back then, there was still some of the traditional old folks. Some of us Gen Xers may have been raised by an old granny or old grandpa. Still puts now you got, there was still some level of shame.
Yes.
And there was still some level of, like, for instance, when we talk about it, that the women themselves took pride in distinguishing themselves between the chicken heads and the dudes themselves.
They did.
You wouldn't be caught 11 p.m. during the day walking around with a chicken head. Everybody, look at you. You're messing with the local chicken head. Now, since we've totally eradicated shame and standards, now the chicken head is talking like she's a virtuous, good quality woman with good character.
Right.
We got rid of we shame. They call it S-shaming, slut shaming.
Right.
When they got rid of shaming women for being 304s. And like dudes now, even when they get with 304s, there's still a little bit of shame towards guys, but at the same time, now they've really cracked down hard on shaming, because that's when they got into the body positivity thing. You can't call fat people fat no more. You can't call 304s no more. You can't really shame them, and then we really got into the music and the sexual liberation part of it. And then all of a sudden, over time, we've eroded any form of pushback towards any type of accountability. We have literally attacked the people. That's why you see when Felicia Rashad says something, she gets crucified.
Right.
So we've kind of backed people into the corner, whereas when you started with people getting nailed at the job for having opposing opinion, then the LGBT thing came in. So any type of shame on an institutional level and on a corporate level, people were really hammered. So people were walking around on eggshells. You can't call 304s no more. You can't call fat people anymore. You can't tell people the truth anymore. So there's been an attack on truth as well as an attack on masculinity. So we have a collision of so many different forces coming together. And we talk about social reprogramming and completely reprogramming the society to make men more feminine and accepting of mediocrity, and to make women more, insufferable. And really, spending. They want them spending money. So a woman that cannot be told what to do will spend more money. She's going to get out here and spend, because man can't tell her nothing.
But first of all, I'm going to send a special shout out to the noteworthy women that are doing the work. They respect and honor their husbands. Shout out to those mothers that are standing by their husbands, and also a special shout out to the Gen X women that understand the assignment and are doing everything in their power to become exemplars for men. But there's a Gen X Nexus piece for life. I thought about doing a channel called the Gen X Nexus. And there's a Gen X Nexus because, see, intersectionist feminists talk about the intersection. I said meet me at the intersection. But they talk about the intersection of politics, race, gender, religion, and all those idiotic terms that revert to what they deem to be oppression. But I'm talking about the Gen X nexus, because Generation X was the bridging point piece for life between what was still old school, but also what was beginning to be the new progressive. You and I remember the time when we had, Tecmo Bowl and Mario Brothers and Sega Genesis, Atari. You and I from that generation. But also, Peace of Life, we remember the generations where there were more intact black families. If women were chicken heads, they were what I call in the closet chicken heads.
Right.
And there was a time when right was wrong and wrong was right, and we didn't coddle our kids. But then you got a proliferation and a generation of degenerates that don't respect and honor their fathers and the mothers. They don't respect masculine leadership. They want a Mitch. They want a Mitch. A Mitch ain't nothing but a partner. A partner. They don't want a husband. They don't want a spouse, but they want a Mitch. You got kids now trying to tell men how to be men. They'll tell you to fall in line and follow them instead of them following their asses in line and following your leadership, and that's a problem. And so it's hard, Peace for Life, when you've been conditioned to see things in one into normacy, the normacy that was promulgated by our ancestors. And then this new zeitgeist where we're seeing now, Peaceful Life, where we got to more or less recondition ourselves to the machinations, the mental machinations, and the social engineerings of these insufferable modern women that happen, some of them to be Gen X. So the Gen X nexus is what happens when we went from what was normal to abnormal, and where we begin to call normal abnormal, and abnormal is the new normal, and it's a problem, man. And so now there's a silent revolution going on, because now men are not getting married. We're not getting married because they're insufferable. We're not getting married anymore because it's an affront to the mental health of a man. We're not getting married anymore because the modern woman has caused men to be in a state of what's called taxation without representation. We're not getting married anymore because the modern woman, particularly the black woman, has aggrandized herself as being the exemplar in the community instead of being side by side with her man supporting him. So now marriage rates are plummeting. Women are lying to themselves, and they're saying, I'm happy being single. They're lying to themselves. And you got a lot of chicks that got Peter Pan syndrome that's promulgated also in arrested development, which in essence has caused the Gen X nexus. What would you say about that?
Well, I absolutely totally agree. But the fundamental problem now is that it's not just, it's all those matters, but now we've crossed into a new dimension, because we've created a portal to house those mentalities, and which is called social media. So the reality is, in the virtual world, they can live in a absolute delusional state of mind, unchecked by reality, and they can get constant validation and positive affirmation, because that's why we talk about all the time, Coach. The Panda Bear community is so popular now.
Right.
So even if they're faced with truth, when you have a virtual world, or world where people are constantly validating your delusion and telling you how outstanding you are, because remember, we've had since '65, since the Great Society, since the attack on family, nuclear family in the Black community, and the intentional destruction of the family. And we've had the shift of the culture into a more matriarchal society. Then sexual liberation was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
Now, and then you add welfare in that, you're decentering men and replacing men with the government. Now women have, they can have babies at will. Birth control pill came in. Now they can have sex at will for those who are willing to. So now you end up in a feminist ideology that's telling women to focus on your career. Forget men. Then you had the color purple. The color purple came out.
Right.
it's systematically all these things being added to the thing. Because what did they say? They took over from white liberal women in feminism, which dealt with men and saw men as these abusive oppressors and animals, abusers and beaters, and Mr. from The Color Purple and Harpo. And you can never let yourself be controlled, because Oprah is a dedicated feminist. Alice Walton too.
Right.
We're programming this, writing this narrative. That's why the Tyler Perry movies are so popular. And every movie, and when we see these women even on these platforms talking, what do they talk about? They talk about men only as the problem. They have a trauma conversation about how they was violated by some guy they choose to date with. Some guy named Mook Mook smacked them in the mouth when they were
right.
And they cast that on all of us as men.
Right.
Because they've already been programmed with the Color Purple narrative. And it's very hard and difficult when you have a woman that's raised and indoctrinated to be a feminist, raised to be strong and independent. And, you know, we got kicked off from the 60s and the 70s. And now we've gotten to the point of 2025 where they've had how many years of pure indoctrination?
Pure indoctrination, right.
Yeah, because every time you hear them talk on the panel, it's always about what they want.
Right.
Man.
I totally agree. And you said something that stood out, man. You know, I talk about it all the time. I created a term, peaceful life, and we used to laugh at it, called schema afflictions. A schema is a core belief.
Oh yeah.
It's a core belief, and it's a maladaptive core belief that's predicated in what you just said. Is called pain and fear. Another therapist or psychoanalyst call it paranoid persecution. They see every and all men through the lens of persecution. And so unless that man submit himself to make her feel safe, then he's the bad guy. You know, that's why they said we'll take the bear over a man. Because in their delusional mind, because they're dealing with ego centonia, they think the bear is less dangerous than a man. And so you got a generation of men that have been conditioned because they were raised by their mothers to acquiesce to the whims and the fears and the delusions and the issues associated with men. And so you got a generation of men that are constantly capitulating to these delusions and to these idioms that are more or less predicated in reality. As a therapist, we call it collaborative empiricism. And that's a fancy way peaceful life said, where's the evidence that justify your fear? And so when you start doing the research, they can't find it. There is no evidence. It's a figment of your imagination. And that figment of their imagination causes them to be peaceful life in a state of arrested development. And that's why men are beginning to say, no, enough is enough. We ain't putting up with this issue no more. You created a channel called A Peaceful Life. Also, you talked about something called relationship capitalism. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But in the meantime, shout out to the big homie in the house, my little brother. I call Top Gun a Baby X. He Baby X. You and I, we the true X. But shout out to Baby X, Top Gun for the $9.99 super sticker. And also shout out to Revelator Spirit of Variance. But it's the Gen X next. I'm gonna show the crowd a little bit something. We're gonna laugh at this, peaceful life. You're gonna laugh at this. Hold on, peaceful life. Let me show the crew something, people. I'm gonna put on a little bit of gangster music. But yeah, that's kosher back in the day, peaceful life.
Oh yeah,
that's that kosher pressure, peaceful life. That's that kosher pressure, man. That's that kosher pressure, peaceful life. They'll know about that. Because see, back in the day, peaceful life, they told me I look like hold on a minute. They told me peaceful life I look like Kadeem Hardison. They told me I look like Big Daddy Kane. And also I used to get Aaron Hall. So the young folks talking about pressure, but there was that kosher pressure back in the day. That was that kosher pressure, man, when we had that kosher swag, man. That was me back in my, I think I was about 19 or 20 in that picture, man. And so...
Can I give salute to the International Quiet Storm? He just sent me a cash app.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to the International Quiet Storm also for the $25 cash app. I appreciate the International Quiet Storm. Appreciate it, brother. But yeah, peace of life. That was me, man, when I was... He's a kosher wife.
Big Daddy Kane.
They ain't ready for it, people. Like they.
Well, we were. I mean, like, man, I'm telling you, I like the benefits of technology, brother.
Right.
But we're dealing with if the brothers in the chat understand, and you understand too,
right?
We're dealing with, it's not, they talk about this gender war, right? Man versus, it's man versus lunacy today, man versus insanity. They live in a matrix bubble where they got the Derek Jacksons in there and all these other dudes, and they got all the what's the lady's name? Sprinkle lady and all that.
Cheryl 7.
Cheryl 7. And they got all these content creators, Panda Bears, Simps, and everything else. And these, ran through women 304s and whatever else. And they literally are sipping. And you got Panda Bear pastors, everybody in this matrix bubble that their brain lives in. And us as men think that even when we make these conversations and these videos, that they're taking any information in. No, we're really talking to the brothers and the good sisters and the brothers. Because they are totally on a different, they're on Pluto. They've literally gone mad. And that's what people don't understand, No,
I totally agree. James Sharp said that before I shout out James Sharp, shout out to the big homie Ray Johnson in the house, him and Quiet Storm. Let me go and shout those brothers out. Shout out to brother Ray Johnson for that $20 cash out. I appreciate it. Once again, special shout out to all the ladies in the house that are trying to support the good brothers. So shout out to those brothers. Brother Ray Johnson, International Quiet Storm, the #1 sponsors. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's the money.
James Sharp said that baby boomers and the oldest of Gen Xers are responsible for today's women. I think there's some truth to it. I would say boomers more so than Gen Xers, because I'm gonna explain my point. Maybe the later, like you and I, are like mid X. We're mid X. Ray Johnson, Top Gun, a baby X. The ones on the other side, the older side of the filter, are the older Gen X. But what people don't understand, men that simp back then played a role too. But men back then, or women back then, were better than the women now. But I'm going to argue that the boomers also mess a lot of these women up, because like Kendra G, her father's a boomer. They told the women to go to school and get their education and don't focus on the man. So I would say that boomer men and boomer women played a major role. I would say that sometimes Gen X men were simps, but Gen X women back then were better women. What would you say about that, Peaceful Life?
They were better women because they didn't have the matrix of social media.
Right.
I think social media was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
Because they were already being indoctrinated. Because remember, after 65, after the Great Society, after Lyndon Baines Johnson, when the Moynihan Report came out, I mean, talking about after the Civil Rights Act of 1964, then we had the hormonal birth control that came in a little earlier. So you have all these factors. And what happens is, when Black people moved to the Democratic plantation, I'm a registered independent, so I don't really care about either plantation. What happened inevitably is the Black women in their mindsets, they took on the struggles and the mentality of white liberal women. And they moved to the Democratic plantation. And obviously we know that Lyndon B. Johnson was a devout racist. So the culture itself, the women themselves, and everybody else went through a huge phase of manipulation and dismantling of any type of masculinity, which was really by design to weaken that community and create this plantation mindset. And the women really took hook, line, and sinker the feminist movement. Our women became the poster child for the feminist movement and start even destroying their own community.
Right.
Took on the government. Because once the government takes your house, your life is going to be crap anyhow. Because now what happens is it promotes complacency, unproductivity. Now it takes away the need for men. And I think that was the first racist move that Lyndon B. Johnson made, to keep control of that particular population, keep them weak. Because imagine having a population of women that have strong men. That's why they don't really want the men are out of the church. Now you have to contend with the Malcolm X's and the others. There was leaders of, but where decisions are being made not on an emotional level. So they made Black women think that they were a part of them, and Black women took it hook, line, and sinker, and they took on the color purple narrative. They took on white liberal women feminism, and they really just wreaked havoc to their own family and communities. And this idea of some type of persecuting men, when Black men were dealing with their own struggles with racism, their own struggles with discrimination, coming out of the civil rights era. And now you add feminism and you add sexual. I always talk about how bad sexual liberation is, my brother. That was to see, at least if you're dealing with the mindset and the mentality of feminism, and you can defeat that. But when you're dealing with sexual liberation, now you got to deal with the trauma, the babies, the damage that comes from the women's brain and their bodies from sexual liberation.
Right.
That's harder to repair.
I totally agree. And you know, the serpent lied to him, Peaceful Life, and told them they would be like gods, told them they would get the gnosis. In the Gnostic belief, the gnosis means knowledge. Right. And the serpent lied to him, Peaceful Life, told them that they would build against a man. They would be goddesses. And a lot of them now, not only do they have arrested development, a lot of them, Peaceful Life, are they ran through.
Yeah, that's rough, brother. That's not good, brother. Well, that's a difficult thing right now, because remember, we had the conversation before about the idea that they want these traditional 100% provider men, or men to pay their bills. And I would say even all of them. Look, you even heard Lisa Ray looking for a man to pay all her bills at 60. Vivica Fox looking for somebody to sponsor her. They have no realistic idea of the value of themselves on the dating and relationship market, or the value of what's between their legs, and to be respectful to the ladies.
Right.
And so we have them, they're in that mindset where they see themselves as the 23-year-old version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And now that delusion is being fed by a society that is turned into complete gynocracy.
Right. I totally agree, man. I totally agree. You remember this, Peaceful Life? We remember when we were kids growing up. I'm gonna play this little clip. Hold tight. Hold tight. Hold tight.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a generation that denigrated Black men. You know, Black men were denigrated. You know, a lot of Black men went to prison. A lot of Black men lost their lives in Gen X because they were always trying to placate for women. What do you remember about men losing their sovereignty because they were trying to please women back as a teenager? What do you remember about that?
Well, I think when we see in that music right there, that is the second phase of what the Great Society had done to the Black community. That's when we had a whole generation and a half of men raised in an environment where men were discentered as the household leaders. While the culture is completely transitioned into a matriarchal culture, and now the women are echoing these sentiments of disgust or dissatisfaction with the men. But the problem with that is, again, it's still based on the premise that these are virtuous, wholesome, worthwhile women that are singing this music. And see, because all they see, they don't see the issues and the problems that come from having multiple sex partners, or being virtuous women, or being traditional women, and all they talking about, you know, they're looking for roughnecks, street dudes, which is all this stuff is the spawn of matriarchal feminism and single motherhoods and all this other stuff. So the culture had totally transitioned at this point. And now we're dealing with an environment, rap music too, with some of the rap music too, you know, and like guys making music like it ain't tricking, it ain't tricking if you got it. T.I., you can have anything you want. You can have anything you want, shaming other men, getting into the spending shit. You know what I mean? Like, so we see a trend to complete total 360 into a gynocentric matriarchal mindset,
right?
But of, you know, women demanding what they want, but not demanding what they deserve, which is are women qualified to receive any of the things that they're asking for?
Right,
and that question is never asked in a matriarchal culture. Do you deserve what you want?
Right.
And there, I know in China, in many instances, you have 27, they're consider you Xing Yu.
Right.
Married, and they do that. Have you been with a man? How many men have you been with?
Right.
Have you been cohabitating with men? Have you been sleeping with men? So the idea is, and that's why I always talk about now responsibility without authority, where these women want men to pay 100% of the bills, be responsible men, and be traditional, but she has 2 kids, 3 kids from other men, or she's been slept with 50 guys in her past, and this guy who gets her, now she wants him to pay all the bills.
Pay all the bills, right? It don't make no sense, brother. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%, man. It don't make no sense, and but you got a lot of steps to fall for it because this is the first generation after us. Because you know our grandfathers' peaceful life would have never tolerated it. Our grandfathers would have never tolerated it.
But the problem
would have never tolerated it.
They're demanding that men be providers, 100% providers. And okay, let's take them at their word with that. Even though the society has changed, where most people need 2 incomes because it's expensive, it costs a lot of money. Let's take them at that value. You want a man to pay 100% of the bills. The question is, what is he getting?
Right.
Is he getting a virgin?
Mm-hmm.
Is he getting a woman with low body count?
Right. Or no kids.
No kids. Is he getting a woman that's virtuous? That's going to add value to his life in many different ways. And this is the problem with sexual liberation when it came from feminism. What are he getting for paying 100% of the bills?
Nothing.
That's the problem. And that's why these women, those women are Xing Yu. So they're on the sideline because, again, they're hypergamous because they've been ran through by so many men, including many high-value men, so they think that's their level.
Yes.
And they're delusional because we live in a gynocracy and they've been encouraged. They've been told how wonderful and how much more valuable they are. And you never lose value, no matter how fat you are, no matter how old you are. So they have that going on.
Right.
Then they have the portal of delusion, which is like steroids to the brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, they think they're invincible. And I mean, obviously they have a lot of filters and surgeries and 60-year-old women getting BBLs like Vivica and stuff. I have no idea.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna definitely get to that.
I don't want to get
she got a pimp on. Shout out to my man Jay Moore. He's a thanks for the knowledge and the personal experience. And the reason why we're so passionate, Peaceful Life, about the things that we talk about, the newer generation might see us as being very, harsh. But what we are talking about was this normal when we grew up as kids. It was just normal. Women were better in Gen X. They weren't perfect, and they were doing dirt behind the scene. And I agree with Jay Shaw that the 60s the 60s was a proliferation of it, but the feminists of the 60s and the Democrats of the 60s is nothing like the Democrats of the day. They went from being basic, like first wave feminism and second wave feminism to now it's radical. It's extremely radical, and it's so radical. Men have lost themselves in this new this new zeitgeist peaceful life that we're living in now. But I'm gonna bring this clip back up because a lot of these women peaceful life got Peter Pan syndrome. and let's look at this clip. Now look at this woman peaceful life. Hold on, let me get you in the middle. Got Peter Pan syndrome. That's the mama. The mama's in the background. Now, don't get me wrong. The mom is Gen X. She's not an ugly woman. You know, she looked good. I mean, she looked good for her age. But it's Peter Pan syndrome. Why would you? Let's look at the clip and then we'll talk about it in a minute. Hold tight.
The women in their 50s, this generation of 50-year-olds, woo!
Women today are so gosh darn selfish that this is why so many women get angry when you ask, what do you bring to the table? And their answer is, bring to the table. I'm not bringing anything to the table because I'm not going to allow you to use me. That's why that question infuriates women right off the rip. They don't want to be used. They want to use you. You are supposed to make their lives easier. And if you don't give them a life of upper middle class or lower upper class luxury, you don't matter. This is why you hear so many women saying, I can do better all by myself. Meaning, why should I work a 40-hour-week job with a husband? Why should I be paying rent with a husband? Why should I be doing any of this stuff? But yet, you work harder. Single women work harder than other women because you do everything by yourself. You just don't recognize it until it's too late. You blew your youth when your counterparts who were looking to marry up and marry well were getting married their junior and senior.
I'm gonna ask you a question, please. So, like, you know, you went to Seton Hall. You played basketball for Seton Hall. I actually think I remember you when you was playing. I think I remember you vaguely. I remember the name, I think. And I know Seton Hall is a predominant PWI, but from that class of women, when you played ball, Peace for Life, what percentage of the black women now are married? That's number one. And then number two, did you see more white women locking their husbands down coming out of college than black women? Even though I know Seton Hall is predominantly a white school. Go ahead.
I mean, when I was back in school, that's when really the MC Light, they want to have a rough neck, whatever else. That's when we was wearing those crocodile jeans and everything else back in the day. And to be honest with you, many of the black women, even though they were going to Seton Hall, some of them, they still had relationships with some dudes from the community, mainly for financial sponsorship.
Right.
So they would have thug boyfriends back in the community and still be going to a nice, decent school, or the ones that were just, suburban or whatever else, they would just hang out with the white girls. So it was a different atmosphere when I went back to college. The issue is, I mean, for most of the white girls, and most of those women, especially, it's obviously a Catholic school, so they already had set up, they'll get a husband, but they still had, that was the era too, where sexual liberation was really kicking on those campuses, I'll be honest with you. But the problem with that is they would, at some point, especially when they get towards the senior year, they'll be latched on to a dude that they're going to keep long term. But the fundamental thing is that when women from the black community see a man, they're looking for the finished financial product because many of them grew up without fathers. So they're very, very, very motivated by money. And there's no man motivated. I mean, there's no man around to control the frequency or quality of men that they bring in.
Right.
So now what happens inevitably is that the culture itself is so shallow and money driven for many of the women growing up that even the guys on campus that were in the accounting program or the finance program or whatever else, it's easy for guys who played sports, but those guys were undesirable to black women. So they would date guys off campus or they'll go after the athletes. So that's what really was the sad thing. So the truth of the matter is the white girls got husbands out of that deal. Many of them, the black women, if they were from the inner city area, around that area, most of them were highly driven to focus on their careers, get education. They weren't even looking for husbands. They weren't looking for husbands. They were looking to get whatever degrees they can and get jobs. Or they were looking for certain guys that had money already, especially guys whom they could. It didn't really matter. I mean, guys could be slinging a little something on the side, because the average run-of-the-mill black male, especially what they really consider, that's when they really start calling guys lames and
right,
you know, or whatever. You are educated, you didn't have any criminal record,
right,
you had a
right.
future, you know, you were lame. So
you're lame, right?
So the focus on the young men, any young brother on campus that was living an honest life was considered lame because he was, one, he didn't fit into the culture. Two, his trajectory was going, it would take him years to blossom into that career. And black women, and not all black women, but if they're not properly raised and raised with single mom, they always focus on the finished product. And what can you give them now? Whether it be in terms of an emotional response with that dark triad of men that they, you know, the thug life or what they see in the music or perpetrated in the culture, that's what they're attracted to.
Right.
That or money.
Right. And also imprinted by.
Imprinted by, yes.
Right. I totally agree. Hold tight. Well, Quiet Storm is right. He said, we shall see if they can do all bad. Yeah, them student loans coming back.
Well, Section 8, that's going to break the back.
Come to collect and drives. And yeah, it's going to, yeah, we'll see how strong, because it's easy to say peace of life, I'm strong, independent, neither man. You got the government sponsoring you. But if you got to get it from the mud like women in other countries, like in Brazil and the DR and other countries, then we'll see how strong you really are. And we'll get to that in a minute, man, but hold tight.
College, the first and second year after college, they were married
Don't
at
forget Section 8,
23, and you were laughing at those white girls and those Asian girls getting married at 22, 23. You getting married after college, that's too young. We need to go on girls trips and having our best life and hot girl summer and all this other bullshit. Now, they're 10 years into their marriage, 3 kids deep, and their husband's a VP of marketing somewhere. And while you still got to, you know, you and your cats are living in a loft downtown, driving your BMW in a middling career. You ain't on no career track. You blew your youth. You blew your youth. You can't get that back.
Your eyes tell me that you don't wanna leave just yet. No, my eyes agree. It's almost like when we first met. Oh, I don't care, it's getting too late. I want you and I can't wait. Don't wanna spend a minute without you. I know you feel the same. So come on, give me love. I'ma show you how to move with my body. Come hit me with your touch and make me wanna say, damn. And yeah, you know what's up. Ain't nothing I won't do for your body. So give me all you got right now. I know I'm yours, baby. So come give me love. You know you're mine, baby. So come give me love. I never felt nothing quite like this. I get a high every time.
And peace of life. This is the generation. Hold tight. This is the generation of women that we got peaceful life. But before we talk about, shout out to my man, brother St. James for that $20 cash app, showing love. Shout out to brother St. James for the $20 cash app. I really appreciate it, brother. Shout out to brother St. James, always showing love from up top. Shout out to brother St. James.
It's the money.
So this is what you got there, peaceful life. A generation of women with Crocs on, a dog, I don't know what that is, a red car, working security.
Yeah, but you got it, you know, the problem is that what happens with a lot of guys too, Coach, I have to admit, a lot of guys have PNC depression. I call it post-nut clarity depression, because even the women dancing in that video you showed, there's a lot of guys that come in hot and heavy and they think that they got a gym, but when they after they have enjoyed that and they walk around at a house and see dishes in the sink and dirty stuff around and whatever. I can't. You can come out the bad, man. That's another problem we don't talk about. A lot of guys got PNC depression, man.
Postnatal depression, right?
Yeah, man. You think you got a gem, or you may fall into an ocean somewhere. You know what I mean? You may think you got something tight, and you might discover that you're hearing echoes and shit. You know what I mean? Your whole body fall into something. You're like, God damn it, I'm gonna have to fake one to get out of here.
Wow, man.
And,
wow.
Shit is deceiving nowadays, man. You never know what you're gonna get, man.
No, you never do, brother. I agree with you 100%. I'm going to show you these caricatures real quick. Shout out to my man, Revelator Spirit of Variance, for that $20 cash out. Shout out to Revelator Spirit of Variance for that $20. Thank you, brother. Hold tight. Revelator Spirit of Variance. Thank you, brother.
It's the money.
Yeah,
this is what we produce, Peaceful Life.
Yeah, you have to really be thorough in that. I'll be honest with you, Coach. You date a woman, right?
Right.
You need to really do a thorough investigation so you don't end up with PNC depression.
Right.
You need to go check that house out. You need to say, look, you got to figure out the credit. You got to figure out the debt. You got to figure out how many dudes is running through this at night, because they got social media. They got all kinds of dudes. You got to see how she keeps her house. You got to do it's like, because, man, let me tell you something, man, that you can lose the inspiration fast.
Yes.
After you sample that, whatever.
Yes.
You see the total package, and your mind gets clear, and you clarity, and you look and you see everything. You see her attitude, her entitlement, what she want, how she take care of herself, how she move, man. That's why these relationships nowadays only be lasting like 1 month or 2 months. Or
I totally agree, because they get bored quick. They get bored quick too.
The entitlement, you listen to the entitlement, you listen to the attitude, you listen to the arrested development, you listen to the delusion, fantasy, visions of grandeur. Because what had happened is that they stopped developing.
I agree.
They lost accountability. The old women used to check them. Now the old women have been sidelines because they hyenas will jump on them and attack them and maul them.
Right.
So what has happened now is we have an epidemic of arrested development, man. And you're dealing with, you talk about, I think dudes are suffering now that's the mental health diagnosis that I think is coming. Post-nut clarity depression. Where dudes go in there hot and heavy and come out booking a session with you. Hey, yo, man, I thought I got me a winner, You find out you roll snake eyes on them dice.
Well, I totally agree, man.
You're sitting at the park looking into the river and shit because you all mad and unhappy because the woman you thought was going to be the one, or you thought you'd found yourself a gem. Now these single women, you end up rolling snake eyes.
Look at this caricature, Peaceful Life. Miss Independent, strong and solo. I'm the table. Sis Just Heal, and this is what you guys need to look for. Boss babe, like Quiet Storm said, if you see a woman call herself a diva, a boss chick, boss babe, queen, goddess, run. Because they have narcissistic traits, and some of it's predicated in witchcraft too. Run from those women because they're rebellious. They're rebellious women, and you got a lot of Gen X women, Peaceful Life, that are single, never been married, been thoroughly ran through, and now in the latter parts of their life, like the Vivica A. Foxes of the world, the Cree Summers, Halle Berry, she old and ran through.
Well, I mean, it's painful, man. I mean, and again, you get in a relationship with these women right now, you talk about ball busting, mental torture. You might as well just go ahead, have one of us kick you in the nuts. I have some size 16 feet. I'll kick you in the nuts if you need it. Let's just get it over with. If you want to torture your nuts, get in a relationship with one of these women, or let one of us kick you in the nuts. We're two big guys. it would be less painful than if you were getting the relationship with one of these women. Just take the pain and get it over with right now. Because trust me, it's going to be brutal. You're going to end up sitting on a couch talking to the kosher.
Right.
Yeah.
The brother showing love, man. The brother showing love. That we're gonna have a good show today. Also, shout out to my man, the Wall Report. Shout out to the Wall Report showing love. I call the Wall Report the silent bank on the silent Wall Street. He always showing love, man. I really appreciate the Wall Report. Shout out to the Wall Report. He's the #1 sponsor of the stream for that $30 cash out. Shout out to the Wall Report. As he's the #1 sponsor of the stream. I got to meet you, Wall Report, one day, but I appreciate you showing love and showing support. Shout out to Wall Report, as he is the #1 sponsor of the stream. Peace and life, and I'm going to get back into it in a minute. Shout out to that brother, and thank you to everybody that's donating. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. It's going to be a good show, guys. We got so much to share. And once again, shout out to all the mothers.
It's the money.
You know what, peace of life? I think Gen X women, they was really at the nexus point.
Right.
They weren't as bad. I would say that the early feminists, the first wave feminists weren't as bad. Like first and second wave. I would say Gen X women probably were between second and third wave.
Right.
And the millennials and the Alpha Zs have taken it to a whole nother level. It's metastasized into something that's totally crazy. And still some of those women from Gen X and also the radical ones are that way. And so what we got now, guys, is something that it's going to take a de-evolution in order for it to become something like the relics of the past. But we got to get conditioned, please. Like you talking about post ejaculation depression. We got to get rid of this presumption that things are going to go back to the way it was when we were kids. It's not ever going back.
No.
It won't go back until the king come back, and the king is Jesus. It won't happen in this generation. It just not. It won't. And as soon as you realize it and stop living in nostalgia, the better you will be. How would you respond to that real quick? Because I got a lot to share. Go ahead.
Go back. First of all, it's too much money in it. Corporations have really, again, there's a lot of money. Women are spending 80% of the money out here in the shopping market. An unruly woman that can't be controlled by a man. See, men with limited spending. If she's under the authority of a man would stop her from spending money, which is bad for capitalism, which is bad for, so the manipulation is there. And I was thinking to myself, just looking at that picture, I think you're going to have to do a therapy stream after this to calm the brothers down. That's trauma. You're creating trauma by that picture, man. You know,
We're talking about this picture, strong and solo.
You're going to have to do a therapy stream after. We all just sit back here and, share hugs or something, man.
Somebody said, look at the Kankles.
That individual has terrorized many men. Many men have been terrorized by this human being you have missing the right there.
Do you see the vision board? She said, I'm the table.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go and you talk about insufferable. I mean, look at me. I'm on the run too. Man. I'm hiding out right here. You need a therapy stream. Shit, I'm gonna have to call you and get a therapy session. Shit, I have to get this live stream with you. For a session today at about 5.
I'm a non-diagnostic consultation, man.
You know how many guys have died of diabetes because of this woman and heart disease and stroke and cancer and I mean. That's a terrorist. I mean, you're showing terrorists on this. I didn't know you was going to have terrorists up in here.
Yeah, man. But these are the caricatures, man, of women of the past, man. Unfortunately, and it's produced.
Yeah, but it don't start out bad with them though, kosher. Like you meet them first, they have mastered the art of bullshit. So you think, so a dude, that's why I say post-nut clarity depression. Because I've had it too, where you meet one of them, you're like, oh my God, this might be a gem.
Right.
Maybe I've scored big with a Gen Xer. And then what happens is time go on and you date them and you get that PNC and you start seeing the full pack. Oh my God, that's worse. No, man. Come on, man.
Hold on, piece of life. Because this woman is a Gen X. So let's talk about it. I did a show last week talking about no gatekeeping. Because we got a lot to share, man. We got a lot to share, piece of life.
We went from bad to worse.
but these are the women that we're dealing with, man.
I'm gonna take 60-second bathroom break on this one, man.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, man. All right. But the new Gen X women that came from the Gen X nexus have metastasized into what you guys see now, what you guys are seeing now. They take no accountability for giving their bodies to multiple men. They have severe, and I mean severe, cognitive dissonance. You can show them the evidence, you can show them the data, you can show them the research. Like one therapist said that they are highly disordered. They are highly disordered. True traditional women can't hold them accountable. You got true traditional women that are striving, they can't hold them accountable. They are extremely arrogant. They're extremely arrogant. How many of you young men have seen women from this generation that have all that baggage, no shame, and are extremely arrogant? Extremely arrogant. Extremely arrogant. How many young men have seen that? Extremely arrogant piece of life.
Oh man.
They see men as tools to save them. That's called utilization. That's why we got to continue to educate these young men, because male spaces have been infiltrated. They've been infiltrated.
That right there's a therapist. That's a terrorist right there.
That's a terrorist. Right. They use the mantra, only God can judge me. I talked about that last week on my show. Only God can judge me. See, these kind of women don't gatekeep their bodies, peaceful life. But they do want to gatekeep what masculine men do with their phalluses. They try to shame men when they travel abroad. They use that paranoid persecution, which is a mental disorder. They can't gatekeep their vaginas. They can't gatekeep them. April Mason and I got in a debate. And April Mason said that if men would not go to OnlyFans and pay for strippers, then the women wouldn't do whatever. And there's some truth to what she's saying. But we remember in the generation piece of life when women dressed more modest. They understood that the onus started with them first, because sex is very primal to a man. They want dysfunctional gatekeepers called simps. They want dysfunctional gatekeepers called simps. They want to gatekeep who you date and who you put your opinion in. They love liberalism. They hate masculine men. They demand respect. So look at the accessory pack of the modern woman that's from Gen X, because this is a Gen X. She's a baby X. Age 45 and not a day over fabulous. Look, 4 kids by 4 different dads. She don't play about her options. How many women have you seen like this, piece of life?
Oh man, let me tell you something. They're not even women anymore. I call them terrorists. There's so many of them in the community. Hard to deal with, hard-headed, difficult. You can't talk to them. Do not coach. When you coach youth sports, where you see them a lot of time too, if you get into that habit of, I know a lot of the brothers say, I'm going to go down there to the Boys and Girls Club, or I'm going to go down there, I'm going to help out with the football team, the basketball team, and whatever else. She's always in the stands yelling at the referees, yelling at the coach, calling the coach an idiot. And you can't tell them nothing. You end up boxing with one of them. That's how bad it is with those ones. Anybody who's tried to volunteer or help out or whatever else, they've encountered these terrorists. And I hate to say it. That's what they've become for the community.
4 kids on 4 different dads. One's a Dollar General and acts like she's the manager. No car, but always got a ride to the club.
Right.
No, and rolls her eyes and sip her drink when her name is mentioned. And this is what you're dealing with, women that have what theologians call a Jezebel spirit. But we're gonna get deeper into the show. I'm gonna pull up because we got a lot to talk about, man. We got a lot to talk about.
Hey guys, just salute to the International Quiet Storm, man. Appreciate this $25 cash app again, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Twice.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Quiet Storm, man. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, it is.
No doubt. No doubt. They showing a lot of love today, man. It feels like Father's Day. But,
I know, right?
But shout out to Quiet Storm.
You know, nowadays, mother may become dad and dad may become mom.
Right. All right. So hold tight, people.
Like to Atlanta, but you might want to go down there and find out that daddy's wearing a dress sometimes. You know what I mean? It could get confusing nowadays. You know what I mean?
No doubt. Hold tight.
Do not honor, weave, makeup, eyelashes, and all that is a bad business.
But hold on, because Corey Holcomb, Corey Holcomb's the language sometimes is a little terse. Y'all forgive Corey Holcomb's language. I don't endorse that language, but Corey Holcomb got some nasty. His language is horrible, but it's the truth. But this is a generation of women that we have now. Peaceful life. This is a generation. Hold tight.
Loser ass.
Your video with comments about
He's a
certain
loser.
other female.
Just to let you niggas know, we don't need y'all. We want y'all, but we don't need you.
20 years later.
Our black men, we want all y'all back. Because we love you, we see you, kings, and most importantly, we need you. And most importantly, we need you.
And most importantly, we need you.
You can't.
If you a that's for the streets.
You can't delete the ski. You can't delete the ski.
I know a who used to suck dick every month of night.
You can't
delete your.
And you can't delete it, Peaceful Life. You can't go. You know, you got a lot of women, man. That is, you know, that they call themselves reborn again virgins, and you know, your soul might be saved. You are going to heaven. Jesus loves you. But that cat is still a sinner. That box is still a sinner. You can't unredeem that box because once it's been punished, it's not that you can do. So you can't delete the ski. But let's listen to Corey Holcomb, because Corey Holcomb is probably around our age. Corey Holcomb's probably in his late 40s to early 50s, and he's a Gen X. Let's listen to what Corey Holcomb is saying. Hold tight.
See you in the morning asking me about breakfast with no makeup on. A lot of them bitches, when they ain't got their makeup and weave, they come in the room, I see skies blue. She's right. What a wonderful world, face ass bitch. You mean took them out, they have all that shit. Then in the morning when you drive them home, they face me like, lights go out in Harlem.
She is fantastic and having the best sex of her life.
Yes, I am. I was a very late bloomer. My first real boyfriend was Kadeem on A Different World, so I was 19 years old. But I've just always taken my time. That little trepidation that I used to think was such a great thing, I think it's maybe not allowed me to experience things fully. And now in my 50s, I just don't care anymore. I'm feeling things I've never felt before. I'm trying things I've never felt before. I think I didn't know that eye contact was the most important thing to me. I never knew that I wanted to look at someone all the time or be looked at, be seen so deeply. That really turns me on. And also, I like to be choked.
She want to be choked out, piece of life.
I love that the first part was sensual and loving.
And then it just goes,
Yeah,
I never knew I would like something. I think I've clearly chosen a partner that's compatible for me. Yet, with all I know, I'm too smart to have chosen what I've chosen, you know? Yeah. I could have given myself the credit for how intelligent I really am. I think sometimes I found myself in situations past the expiration date purely out of loneliness. I think loneliness is probably the greatest culprit to get me into things where I could have probably just looked at it and gone, I know that ain't gonna work.
Yes.
You know? But he drives a really nice car and he's, you know, what a smile. And,
Ready.
And he's fucking ready. And then, you know, there you are. And I think that's the thing too, is just that patience and that giving yourself the credit to know that you do know what you want, you know, and it's worth it to take a minute, you know. Yeah, I don't think I've ever really done that. And then sometimes also being victimized by being chosen. I just think so happy to be chosen. You know, oh, he chose me, so it must be meant to be.
And 1 minute, keep it real short because we got a lot to share. Well, what do you think? What's your assessment of Cree Summers' Peaceful Life? What's your summation of?
I mean, I you know, I know this is a YouTube channel, but the first thing comes to my mind is the Creep Keeper. But at the end of the day, all of the juice has been sucked out of that sugar cane. I mean, you can throw it over the fence to the pigs, but at the end of the day, and I see Arrested Development, I see Shin Yu, there's nothing left to give.
Right.
And she still has the mindset mentality that she's 23 years old.
Yes,
Really
yes.
something.
That's development, right. I totally agree. I totally agree. Hold tight.
Actually, when you were talking in the beginning about, you know, the kind of people who approach you and like, well, that's just who approaches me. I'm like, well, who do you approach?
I don't approach anybody. I've never done that before. Ever. I don't think I've ever approached a man. I've never asked a man out.
Why?
I don't know now that we're talking about it. I mean, now that I think about it, I mean, what is there to lose?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get to actually be in the driver's seat and select.
And I do love the driver's seat.
That's to give yourself credit to not just that you didn't pick the right people, but you have to wait statistically for the right person to pick you.
Yeah,
right.
It's going to be a hard gig.
Right.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Yes, what a lovely gift. You're so right. I have never, and I've had moments where I've thought someone was really attractive or mostly interesting. I mean, this is really my erogenous zone right here. Mm-hmm. So I've had conversations where I'm like, God damn, this motherfucker is smart, you know. And I haven't said anything, you know. Maybe I'll give it a try.
You really should.
I think I should.
I do not believe.
Chris Sutton sounds like she's a showering monk or something, man, in a monastery, man. She seems weird, man. She's a weird chick. And the fact that you're that old, you know, I've never seen so many old Gen X women that still think they have the same power that they did in their 20s, man. And it's really sad because by 2030, over 30, I think they said 45% of women are going to be single and childless. So what?
The she economy?
The she economy, right.
Morgan Stanley, yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, it's pathetic, man, the amount of Gen X women that should have been grandmothers with a husband.
Right.
But many of them don't want to honor or support their husbands. But hold tight. Yeah. This is Trace Ellis Ross. Hold on.
That my life is unworthy because I don't have children. I do not believe that my life is unworthy because I do not have a man or a partner. I don't.
To be single and no kids and over 40, we're fine. Y'all don't ask men this question. Some people choose it. Some people circumstance it happens. Some of us are out here just living our best lives. And if a partner comes, If it doesn't, we're okay. Leave Tracy alone. Quit asking her to explain this.
But a lot of men my age are.
They lie to themselves. Break down how do they lie to themselves in your opinion, brother? How do they lie to themselves as they are in this delusional comatose? Because I think they lie to themselves that what the choices that they made, that they're okay. But Trace Ellis Ross talked about the grief of not having the children and also having a husband. And I think Trace Ellis Ross is living through the vicarious trauma of her mother, and she's never gotten the proper help. And the fact that she want to control everything, and she don't want a man that's masculine, it's gonna cause her to be even more depressed on the back end. Because after them young bucks finish blowing her back out and putting DA in with her, she's gonna be even more messed up. But go ahead, tell me what you think about these women that lie to themselves. Go ahead.
Well, it's also facilitated delusion because they're lying to themselves but that's also being reinforced. It's being validated. It's been the lies have been affirmed and validated. When I saw the first two women, well, her and the other one, I'm thinking Gambia or Jamaica. Which one they're going to end up to? I don't know what it's going to be, Gambia or Jamaica. What they call those young bucks who walk down the beach in Gambia?
Gambia.
Yeah. So either one direction, the Caribbean or Africa. But inevitably, it's because we live in a gynocentric environment, a feminist environment, and nobody can tell women the truth. Or you're a misogynist, you're a monster, or you have what they call it, internalized misogyny. If the women
exactly right,
so they've got to the point where they've shamed any type of criticism, any type of challenge and pushback. So now they're just gliding through the world, floating in this matrix of delusion now called social media, with this, delusional sense of self-value and self-worth. And it's just unchecked. And that's why I say man versus insanity. You're dealing with crazy women at this point now.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
So it's enforced by the society that she's this delusional because nobody can check her. And if they check her, they hate women. If they check her, you're this evil patriarchal male or this evil patriarchal woman, or you're an oppressed woman or whatever. So these are hardcore indoctrinated feminists. And when I see them like this, I'm wondering when they're 60, 65, is it going to be Gambia or Jamaica? That's the only thing that crosses my mind when I think of that.
Shout out to the brother, the homie in the house, Dr. Ronald Neal. Shout out to the brother. Shout out to BMI 300 Reloaded for the $10 super sticker. He said, it's over for Gen X women. It's a wrap. And BMI 3000 is a Gen X like you and I. And we remember BMI 3000, the Mad Professor, we remember when women were better. They weren't perfect, but I would argue that Gen X women, like my man Shembla said earlier, I think they're the ones that really pushed this liberal agenda forward. Because a lot of the women from that generation now, they're from our generation. Because I remember Gen X women, they were hell-bent on career. They were hell-bent on not listening to a man. They were hell-bent on putting their careers before their men. They were actually, like Kevin Samuels was saying, they were competing against their men back then.
Absolutely.
And so I would say that Gen X women are the ones that metastasize this mess. That's why I said they're cross, in my opinion, between second and third wave feminists, and they were the clarion callers. They were the torch bearers for modern day feminism in my mind. So shout out to Dr. Neal for that. Thank you, brother. Hope you're having fun in Kenya, man.
Steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize I have no interest in it, and I will not do it again.
I'm sorry. No. I've been feeling down all night. You tell me it's alright. It's alright, alright.
How is Tracy Ross lied to herself, in your opinion, in under 1 minute? Under 1 minute.
Well, first of all, she comes from money anyhow. But the delusion of the Hollywood liberals, to be honest with you, let's be honest. I mean, Tracy Ross is easy on the eyes and she can get the sausage. Is what a lot of guys would think.
Right, she's pretty. She's still pretty, right?
Right. The issue with women like Tracy Ellis Ross is that she can still get male attention. The problem is, I call it PNC depression. First of all, what if she said to you, Kosher, that you can access this box, but next week there's a pride parade, and you got to walk in pride parade with her and hold hands with her and next to guys with wearing leather pants with the ass cheeks missing and nipples pierced, and you have to walk with this pride flag, and you know what I'm saying? So the access which she has, you're going to have to be a completely liberally indoctrinated man. So next week, Tracy, you get a little calm and cuzzy with Tracy. You'd be like, Kosher, are you going to Pride next week? You gotta so I'm saying, like, the price of entry. So no man wants to be hanging out with these liberal leftist women, because you gotta go to Pride with Tracy, and you gotta walk proudly with Pride, and she's gonna talk about gender construct and you know, what is a man, and you're gonna have to, you know, have all types of different friends sitting on the couch talking to you. Maybe that's not a man, maybe that's not a woman, and the juice ain't worth the squeeze, man. So Tracy has become very delicious roadkill. I say that she is up par for the course. I say to the young lions, eat on up, because she ain't gonna change.
Right. No, she ain't gonna change. No,
until that body completely drops. Because again, she has money. She can inject that body with stuff. She can get the surgeries. She can work out. She don't have any kids. She can get sausage. But the question is, after you've done, you better run, because you might end up at the Pride Parade next week, and she will demand that you go there.
Red Falls Black, try to send another super chat. Sometimes if the words are too long, it does that. Or you can send a cash app. I'll read your comment whenever you send it. Thank you, brother. All right, let's finish listening to it. Hold tight.
We would have come to fruition is actually grief. Tracy Ellis Ross just named that particular type of grief. She said that she often finds herself mourning not being partnered and not having children. That type of grief hits very differently, right? You're not missing someone who left, okay? You're missing someone who never even showed up. You're
Show the Anton.
Yeah, I guess it's gonna be one of those type of videos, y'all. I always like to give credit to the content creator, so that link will be down in the description. Regardless of whether I agree with it or not, thank you guys for sending it to me. Make sure y'all get that Teach Hanley 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. And subscribe and hit a like for the algorithm on YouTube. Let's get into it, man.
grieving someone who was never even born. And I find it so fascinating because being single in this society is such a double-edged sword, right? On one hand, it is glamorized. It's soft life, me era, solo travel vibes, all the things. And then on the other hand, it's stigmatized, quietly judged, like there has to be something wrong with you, which we know that that's not the case, right? But the craziest part is that for this type of grief, there is no ritual. There is no funeral or memorial service like when we lose somebody in the physical realm. There is no divorce party when you finally leave that man. No outpouring of love and gifts and support when you miscarry a child. There is no closure. Even as a friend, I've had to check myself, right? Because my instinct is to fix it, to throw a solution at it, to cheerlead, to play matchmaker, and make sure that they know that they are so much more than being someone's wife, being someone's mother. But real support is just sitting in the discomfort. It's to say, I see you. Not necessarily, oh girl, be patient. He's coming when the time is right, because that's not necessarily the case either. Because
Shout out to brother Gregory Scotland in the house. Is a salute, gentlemen. Remember, Gen X women were the main proponents in the 1990s of the strong and independent and college-educated person. You're right. We talked about this earlier, and we even showed an archetype. We showed the archetype. I'll pull it back up in a minute. A major issue is, too, that many Gen X men will not admit it. I don't mind admitting it because it's true. I agree with you 100%. Shout out to my man, Revelated Spirit of Indifference. He said that Tracy Ellis Ross got one thing right, that black shirt she was wearing says time's up.
Time's up, man.
Time's up for her, and that is.
The problem
Right.
too, these young bucks got to watch women like that because
Right.
a woman like that, Tracy Ellis Ross, can still be fertile.
That's true.
So if you get one of these young bucks and he let one loose, she could end up pregnant, and she
That's
got to
true.
get rid of that baby.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Because she's hot, she got that good body.
Right.
The Gen X guys know to tap and escape before you end up at the pride parade.
Right.
The young bucks, they start getting into that meat, and next thing you know, they might Tracy might encourage them to go to the pride parade, but they shooting fire in there. And next thing you know, Tracy walk around with a big belly. She's pregnant at 50, and she plans to keep the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And that your baby's gonna be growing up with all kinds of. Never mind. Let's move on.
All right, now hold tight.
We're doing ways.
Being partnered does not guarantee you won't be lonely. Shout out to Cecilia Regina and her Lonely Wife series. If you know, you know. So maybe the real life, the real glow up is in learning to grieve what never was, what never might be, and still learning to build a beautiful life anyway.
I went to a family event today, and it was eye-opening. And the reason that it was eye-opening was because all of the women in my family, and you guys know me, I have one of those type of families where we don't believe in divorce. And all three of my brothers, no sisters, no divorces. Everything is what it is. And, I believe that there's a formula for being successfully married. I myself have been married for over 21 years, or almost 21 years. It'll be 21 years in June, and then we'll be past the 21 years. But I myself have been married for over 2 decades.
Where you been acting lately's got me down, face ass bitch. Bitch, wake up in the morning hiding her face under the cover and shit. You just yank that cover back. Audio, audio. Shibbity boo, shibbity boo, shibbity boo, boo, boo. Them glamour faces don't fool me.
So, I mean,
them bitches Daffy Duck without the bill when they come up out.
That's crazy.
hey, show a picture of Daffy Duck without the bill on. That's them bitches me.
Wow, that shit crazy.
When they come up out that hair and shit.
That's crazy.
Like, who the fuck is you? Where my bitch go I bought?
That shit look wild, dog.
Them bitches look like Chris Rock when he got slapped in the That's why I mean, look, I done got fooled too many times.
Man.
Bitch, give me 100 of that 200 back, bitch. Get your ass the fuck out my car.
No wonder Tracy Ellis Ross, who is 52 years old, has never been married. No one has noticed that her mother has taken away 3 of her most precious things. At 52, Tracy has no partner or children, and she often feels pain because of this. However, she still doesn't want to be with the wrong person. Her mother, Diana, has been divorced 3 times. She divorced Tracy's father when Tracy was 5 years old. As the eldest daughter, she needed to quickly adapt to the family, which made her precocious. She learned not to rely on others and began to question traditional marriage from a young age. She has had long-term relationships with her boyfriends before, but refused to get married. She believes that love doesn't need to be proved by legal documents, and her parents' divorce has left a shadow on her childhood. She has publicly stated that family is a combination of love and responsibility, rather than just a marriage certificate, but she prefers to date younger men. She thinks that men of her age are affected by toxic masculinity, and she has had enough of that kind of control. Although she continues to date, she has also learned how to live and enjoy life instead of just sitting around waiting.
Tracy Ross is dealing with unresolved issues from the traumas of her mother. That's called vicarious trauma. And any man that she sees is called vicarious trauma by proxy. That's why she could never deal with a man like Peaceful Life or myself. But because we came from a generation where men believe more in tradition. And because she was the recipient of her mother's trauma, the way she feels safe is that she got to be in control because she's a Scorpio woman. So she got to be in control. And so in order for her to feel safe, she got to be in control. And there's a lot of women that are like that lie to themselves, and they want the provision and protection of a masculine man, but they're not willing to submit themselves. But Shua said, as a younger Gen X woman born 1976, I can say with certainty that women of my and subsequent generations were sold a false bill of goods. We can't have it all, and that's okay. Being strong and independent is not a flex. Under 1 minute, please, like, go ahead and respond, brother.
Well, what's far
Bashir said, yes.
Yes, they were sold a bill of goods, line and sinker, and I totally agree. I mean, that's my response to that, you know. And again, it's nothing you can do about it at this point in time. And my philosophy now is let these wild horses run free.
Let them run free, right? I totally agree. Hold tight.
What's that one? What is that?
That's how.
Why does 58-year-old Halle Berry suddenly seem like a completely different person? Her nearly nude dress at the 2025 Met Gala revealed a shocking truth. One of the most striking dresses at the 2025 Met Gala came from Halle Berry, who wore a sheer striped gown that left a lasting impression. According to interviews, she wore nothing underneath the dress, saying it symbolized confidence and boldness. However, public reactions were mixed. Many online commenters criticized the outfit as shallow and vulgar, saying it completely ruined her previous image. And honestly, they might have a point. Some even noted that her face is changing dramatically, not from aging, but from fillers and other procedures that have made her look like a different person, almost half her age now. But all of this seems to stem from one event. A few years ago, Halle Berry was misdiagnosed. A doctor told her she had a severe abscess, but days later she realized her symptoms were actually caused by hormonal imbalances from menopause. That male doctor never even considered that possibility. Since then, she's been dedicated to raising awareness about the physical and mental health of menopausal women. Her dress was meant to send a message. Growing older as a woman doesn't mean losing confidence.
14 handsome. And you know what's bad about some of these women peaceful life? That ain't no disrespect to women got menopause, but they're old and menopausal, and with hormone imbalance, you know, some got sandbox syndrome, and I'm being funny, and they still think they're deprived. What do you think about women that are destitute, like Halle Berry, man, they're still in Peter Pan, in the Peter Pan land?
Well, they ain't going to let these young girls get all this attention, especially with social media right now.
Right.
Again, this is very, very, very deep jealousy and resentment towards younger women. They're competing with the 25-year-old version of themselves. They don't like it because women are not like us. We see ourselves in younger men and want to help them become better than us.
Yes, right.
They see younger women as their competition and they want to destroy them.
Right.
They don't think of younger women and think about protecting them or whatever else. They're like, hey, I'm single, I'm 60, I'm single, I'm 52. You women are my competition. The streets ain't gonna give you all no attention. I deserve it. I'm hot. I'm still fine. I'm still sexy. I'm Gen X, but y'all ain't got nothing on me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way they think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. Hold tight.
Hunks Halle Berry managed to bag in her prime. Number 1, Terrence Howard. Halle Berry and Terrence Howard briefly dated in 2005 after meeting on the set of Their Eyes Were Watching God. Number 2, Kevin Costner. There were whispers of a connection between Halle Berry and Kevin Costner in the mid-1990s. Number 3, Brad Pitt. Rumors suggest that Brad Pitt and Halle Berry were secretly meeting at the Hotel Bel Air at some point. Number 4, Michael Ealy. Berry reportedly dated Michael Ealy after co-starring with him in Their Eyes Were Watching God in 2005. Number 5, Shamar Moore. Halle Berry's relationship with Shamar Moore extended over the course of a year, beginning in 1997. Number 6, Eric Benet. Halle Berry and singer Eric Benet tied the knot in 2001, but divorced after 4 years due to infidelity. Number 7, Gabriel Aubry. From 2005 to 2010, Halle Berry was in a relationship with Canadian model Gabriel Aubry. Number 8, Olivier Martinez. Berry and French actor Olivier Martinez married in 2013, welcomed son Maceo, and divorced in 2016. Number 9, Christopher Williams. Halle Berry and R&B singer Christopher Williams were romantically involved from November 1991 to April 1992. Number 10, Danny Wood. Halle Berry and New Kids on the Block. Member Danny Wood were reportedly together from 1989 to 1991. Number 11, Billy Bob Thornton. Rumors circulated that Berry and Thornton grew close during the filming of Monsters Ball in 2001. Number 12, Wesley Snipes. During the early stages of her career, Halle Berry was linked to Wesley Snipes. Number 13, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy and Halle Berry were rumored to have dated briefly in the early 1990s. Number 14, David Justice. Halle Berry and baseball star David Justice got married in 1993. However, their marriage was troubled, leading to their divorce in 1997.
That's 14, peaceful life, 14 fallacies. And that's not the one night stands and the men she's sleeping with now. And they get mad at us and wonder why we talk about body count does matter. And the more men that you have, the less you can submit to a man. Halle Berry is a walking vampire. She's a zombie. She's damaged. You can't do nothing with Halle Berry. How would you respond about all those fallacies? Because I counted 14, man. 14 fallacies, man.
Well, the biggest issue with the women is that even the women like that, who like, let's take it away from the famous people, Hollywood people. Let's say a regular, average, everyday women probably have even more bodies that we don't know about.
Right.
This is the people that we know about with Halle Berry. So you add that times 3, you're probably getting into the numbers range of what's really been ran through. But what's happening now is that women, even though they've had all these experiences in life, marriages, divorces, babies, and everything else, the great insult is when they expect men to be traditional and still pay all their bills. They're not trying to split expenses. Right. I'm worn out. I'm ran through. I tell you what, we're going to prorate your discount. I will pay half the bills and you pay half the bills.
Right.
Because, that will make up for the depreciation and the ran throughness. I'm willing to split something to add value to your life because, look, I'm old. I've had experience. I'm going to also offer you peace and companionship, not legal marriage. They're not trying to do that. They want to be wined and dined like a fantasy Aladdin movie or something, swept off their feet. You look in their eyes, you look at them stretch marks, you look at everything else, and they want you to love them and rub them like you just met them at 23. And that's where guys are like, hell to the no. Right. Then they get mad at Bill Belichick. Then they get mad at Shannon Sharp. Then they get mad at all these older men for saying, look, if I got to deal with an old gold digger or a young gold digger, I'm just going to give me a young one.
Yes, right.
You're going to get Lisa Ray was a gold digger, or you're going to get a younger gold digger.
Right.
At least one of them can stimulate an erection and won't cause ED. So at the end of the day, you're going to pay it. You're going to probably going to cost more for the old gold digger because she didn't entrenched in her belief system. So now you're dealing with a situation where men are left with these difficult choices of, in those situations for those men at that level, old gold digger, young gold digger. Because anything that's really traditional or whatever else is slim and far between when you're at that success level. And that's why these guys like Bill Belichick end up with these younger women, because they're like, look, if I'm going to have to pay, hey, I might as well enjoy the ride.
and they get mad at that too, believe it or not. They get mad at that too. They always want to have agency. And shout out to Dr. Ron Neal. They always want to have an agency.
Yeah.
Over men.
The greatest insult is these women that are shinyu or left out, or women that are burnt out. They want men to pay 100% of their bills, or wine and dine them like Vivica K. Fox. I want a man to let me shop. Or I want a man. I'm traditional woman. How are you traditional? You've been married 10 times and you've been slept with multiple men, and you have nothing about you is traditional. So I think that should also be prorated in terms of what you expect men to do in terms of, paying bills and whatever. You got to pay a portion of the bills. You cannot come as a traditional virtuous woman. That is nonsense for any. They're looking for a simp sucker, to be honest with you.
Right. They are. Hold tight.
8-year-old woman, a 3X married, currently divorced, single mother, went to the Met Gala wearing an outfit where I cannot scroll down anymore because her entire pubic area is out. Like, Holly, what you doing? Holly, what's going on here? If you guys are unaware of what it is that you're looking at before you, this is a picture at Halle Berry at the Met Gala last night. Now, typically, people who go to this event, they will try to dress like extras from the Hunger Games. Not out of ordinary there, okay? But Halle Berry, a 58-year-old woman, a 3X married, currently divorced, single mother, went to the Met Gala wearing an outfit where I cannot scroll down anymore because her entire pubic area is out. Like, Holly, what you doing? Now, we gave you a pass all those decades ago for Monsters Ball because you were acting, okay? It was for the entertainment purposes. You were telling a story. You were doing your job. But what's this right here? At a time period in your life where you're a single mother, you could be a grandmother with an ever-growing family, you decide to participate in the satanic-ass looking ritual that you're doing. Cooched out? Huh? What is this? Who's your stylist? Who's controlling you? Why are you allowing this to happen? Is this the plan all along? Is this what Holly Weird is attempting to do? Are they attempting to control the mindsets of the average modern woman of today through our elites? Through our influencers? Is this y'all queen? Is this y'all leader? Is this who you want to be when you grow up? From the world's most beautiful woman, voted time and time again during the years that I was growing up, to now, at damn near 60 years old, showing us what it looks like. Huh? These are y'all queens influencing the women that we're supposed to marry? Huh? This is who they look at for inspiration? No wonder you go all over your social media apps and you see these girls half naked in every other single photo, showing us exactly what it looks like. Why they prioritize getting naked on their birthdays, on the gram, lingerie, boudoir shoots, grabbing their titties in photos, tongues hanging out their mouth.
It's going to be fun. Yeah. That's not intimidated by who and what I am. Yeah. That likes to travel.
Yeah. It's worse.
It gets worse. And that's all part of the Gen X debauchery. And you know what's really sad, Peaceful Life? When you got a problem with me, you don't mind telling me how you feel. I do it in the spirit of respect, and you do it too. We don't lie to ourselves. Right. And I think we don't lie to ourselves because we know as men we have to live in reality. But they keep lying to themselves. And, you know, it's weird that a woman like Vivica Fox and Halle Berry, both in their late 50s and early 60s, still think they have the same merits as a younger woman and get mad like Monique got mad at Shannon Sharp. Right. And she really was projecting how she felt. And if you listen to what Monique said, she said you need to get you a fallow gal and go sit your ass down so we can rub your feet and cook you some food. Because really she was saying that that's what she really wanted. Not understanding that men by nature like younger women. It's just in our nature. Men like younger women. But a lot of men have been shamed. And younger don't necessarily have to mean a 50-year gap or a 30-year gap. Younger can also mean 5, 10, 15, 20 years younger. What would you say? How would you respond to that?
Absolutely. And that's the fundamental problem. See, Monique and women like her, because we have an earned value as men. We have to earn the right and the position to be attractive to women. We earn that. And she wants us. They were born with that lottery, which is they have advantages. So some woman that's been out here on the market for 30 plus years, if she ain't a widow, if she wasn't abused or there wasn't a situation where her husband did something terrible to her and she's single, the question becomes why? But the delusion is so out of touch. That's like me and you today decide that we were to go and we're going to go down to the local basketball court. We're guys, Gen X guys, 50, 51, 52. And we're going to get that old odorless Bengay. I almost say kosher. I got this odorless Bengay and I got a 5-hour energy. We're going to go down to the basketball court today and we're going to post up these young bucks. Okay? I think I can still get above this rim and dunk.
Right.
I'm 50 years old. Ain't shit going on. You probably couldn't squeeze a dollar bill under my feet right now.
It's a dollar bill.
The quick twitch muscles are gone. There's no
right.
In fact, you cross me over, I may end up at the hospital, ER, blown out,
right.
blown out knees, everything.
Right.
It's like me thinking I'm gonna go down and compete with these young bucks down at the basketball court.
No competition.
I look, them dudes is moving lightning fast.
Right.
They're quick. They jump. I go to the gym. That's why I end up on the what's that thing called? The thing where you glide like this. You know, the what do you call that exercise machine? The elliptical.
Elliptical, right.
I end up on the elliptical. I watch them dudes from the elliptical in the gym because I know that time has passed and ain't no way I'm running with them wild. I ain't running with those wild horses on that basketball court. I might shoot some jump shots, get a hook shot in here and there, maybe do some old man dirty moves and set some screens, and I'm done. But at the end of the day, these young women, they don't look at themselves like that, like they don't look at themselves like us. I ain't going down to that basketball court to compete with them young bucks. They think that they are the same as these young women.
Yes.
Like me and you are rational enough. I can get all the odorless Bengay I want. Right. Because they remember back in the day, maybe you go 20 years ago, you couldn't hide the Bengay smell on your knees. Like you couldn't, like when you hit that Bengay back in the day, and you go play with them young bucks. But a few years ago, everybody can smell you. Like, yo, what the hell, old head? Icy hot smelling.
Right.
You're trying to heat them knees up. You got it on your ankle, you got it on your knees, you got it on your lower back, probably your shoulder and elbow too. You know, maybe they got Tiger Balm now, but look, you're doing everything you can to stay on that basketball court. But we know that we were old. We know that these young bucks is flying like lightning. I got one down the basement. He's 6'9". He's a monster. I ain't going to play
monster,
with him.
Right.
Break my damn ribs. And I'd be in the hospital. I won't be able to talk this stuff on the internet no more. I'll be talking with my ribs broken, messing with him. The fact of the matter is they think that they can still compete with these young women. Men are logical and rational. As much as I can have a dream, I ain't taking my ass down to that court. You can forget it.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And it's proven that not only is the Arrested Development, well, see, Eric Erickson, Peace of Life, talked about something called, he called it psychosocial development. And you and I are in the stage of our life where we're going to do what's called generality versus stagnation.
Right.
Generality means we're trying to leave a legacy for the new generation. Like when you and I are doing these shows, we're trying to leave knowledge to the new generation because nobody told us. But stagnation means that you're still in a mental log jam. A lot of these women are stagnant. They're dealing with what's called existentialist crisis. And so they're in a state of arrested development because Erickson also talked about intimacy versus isolation.
Right.
Intimacy happens when you compromise, but isolation happens when you won't compromise. And because these women are so delusional, they won't compromise. You're right, Quiet Storm. It is called the Medusa disease, and it's also called a term I created called the Medusa complex. So
it's often been said that art imitates life. And when art imitates life, it asks us the question, why are we seeing the things that we're beginning to see? In this show of The Kosher Clinician, we will be exploring the dark triad and the dark triad personality traits that are often seen in modern women. We will be exploring Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and also narcissism, as those three traits appear to be prevalent in modern times. We're going to explore the definitions associated with those three variables, but also we're going to be exploring some of the celebrities that could or more or less appear to have some of those traits. As I said earlier on this stream, with art imitate life, it appears that later in the past that some of the women that we're going to be talking about, like Meg Thee Stallion, Monique, and Jada Pinkett, is a reflection of modern women. Did you guys know that the vibrations that other people send out as signals can more or less be impacted inside the psyche of a man through subliminal cues, or also through the subconscious? We're going to explore how the Medusa complex, a term that I created, defies or more or less explains some of the behaviors associated with modern women, as many modern women appear to have the Medusa complex. The Medusa complex is a complex that often leaves many women petrified when they look within the mirror. They can't see themselves because if they saw what they really are, then they will actually crack under pressure. And many would say that the Medusa complex is a byproduct of a condition called cognitive dissonance. But that's not the topic of the show. The topic of the show is to explore why many appear to have the Medusa complex. And could it be that the Medusa complex is a byproduct of the dark triad, which in essence includes Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and narcissism? Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as I bring it to you live from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. And I need you men to remember this as we seek to bring balance to the union as it relates to relationships in modern times. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. Have you been a victim of the dark triad forces that more or less have invaded your life? Have you been a victim of modern women that seek not only to understand your needs as men, but more or less aggrandize their needs at the behest of yours? Enjoy this show, support the show, share the stream, and let's get this show popping. Be well.
All right, that's the Medusa complex. That's a clip I did back in the past, and
Excellent.
That's thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And a lot of them have the Medusa complex. Shout out to my dear friend, Lady Bashur, showing so much love on the day. She says it's incredibly sad that the most beautiful women in the world are perpetually single and change their spouses and boyfriends like they change their drawers. And it's true, but that's what liberalism gave you, deception and shame. And also shout out to my man Gregory Scholar. He said that kosher, more men are starting to read Arthur Schopenhauer, and they realize that the red pill has been around a long time.
Yeah, I've seen that.
He really pointed out female behavior over 150 years ago. Tell me about that piece of life. I never heard of it. Educate me. Let me write this down. I might have to get this book.
Well, I haven't really gotten into depths with it, but I started to see, I think somebody did, one of the men's content creator did something about, I think, what is it? Ask an older man. He did something, but I didn't really get in depth of the video, but apparently he did point out that I think it had more to do with female nature, which is women are more of survival creature. And I think understanding that love for women is totally different than love for men, and how survival plays a key role in many of those aspects of life. You know what I mean? So
right.
Female nature has been around forever. The issue now is what kept everybody in check is culture, traditions, religious institutions, society, government. When those things are in alignment, they support family and family structure. But women are the ones that kept women in check, more so than men. And the older women, the grandmothers and whatever. But when your old grandmom is a devout feminist, everything goes off a track real fast and real quick. And that's the fundamental problem that we have now. The older women now are part of the indoctrination of the younger women.
Right.
And that's the problem, fundamentally,
I totally agree. Let's finish listening to this. Hold tight.
Gonna let me go shop.
They're upset, they're mad, and they will be loath to admit it, that they know in their heart of hearts they've missed their shot. And you can't turn the clock back. And this doesn't give me any particular pleasure to say it. The fact that most will die alone is maddening to these women, and they're going to make black men feel their pain. Why? Well, especially if you're a woman like that, where you've accomplished something. You're not working retail somewhere. You're not working as an accountant somewhere. You actually have had a career. She looks at her non-black counterparts, and they were able to parlay that career into access an opportunity with other men and to lock down a man and produce a family. You can look at the women who are the most angry or the most bitter sounding and ask them, what have they done with the education, income, and access that they have? They always want to throw it up in your face, what they got. Okay, but what have you done with it?
Right.
Honestly, all I need is my phone, Wi-Fi, and a comfy couch to stay entertained. I mean, what in the world is Vivica Fox carrying behind her now? A BBL at 60? I'm still trying to pick up my jaw from the floor. And wait, it's not just about the sheer audacity of getting a BBL at 60, but girl, didn't she think about her ex 50 Cent before going ahead with such a decision? Because it looks like Vivica just handed this man the perfect ammo to keep their messy battle of the exes going. They're saying that 50 Cent is out here trolling, roasting the living daylights out of her after seeing that new booty. And let's get real, the drama between 50 and Vivica is never ending. And we all know why, don't we? It's that messy, complicated, can't look away history between them. So let's have it. Let me take y'all back to when the tea started spilling. It was the 2003 BET Awards, and 50 Cent was on stage accepting that Best New Artist award. He was giving shout-outs left and right, and then he slipped in a special thanks to Vivica Fox for rocking a fire dress.
You know, I want to thank Vivica Fox for wearing that dress, too.
So from that moment on, 50 Cent and Vivica were inseparable. They were spotted everywhere, serving up the ultimate power couple goals. It got so serious that marriage was even knocking on the table. But as we all know, things didn't quite work out. The love turned sour, and they began to have major issues. And honey, the tea was that 50 Cent took that 12-karat gold ring meant for Vivica's finger and flipped it into a pair of earrings. Now, it's worth wondering what would have caused their relationship to be hanging on by a thread. Well, for Vivica, it was all about privacy. She felt like 50 Cent was putting all their business on Front Street, and she was not having it. But on the flip side, 50 had his own reasons for calling it quits. He claimed Vivica and her crew were using him for publicity. Honestly, I think both Vivica and 50 Cent had valid points. I mean, 50 was on top of the world at that time, and it was no secret that people wanted a piece of his fame. And as for Vivica's side of the story, let's just say 50 Cent has never been one to hold his tongue. Even after their breakup, he was still sharing intimate details about their romance, including some pretty steamy bedroom confessions.
Is it like the first time, though, when Vivica gives you the go-ahead and says you're going to get naked in your bed? Is it awesome?
Yeah, man, it's exciting.
Are you able
All right, so Official Life.
No.
We got two more parts, and then we're gonna end it. But it's good. This is good, man. This is real good. You've done a great job, man. I love you. Come and do for me, brother. I appreciate it.
No problem, brother.
So we got two more propositions before we go down the rabbit hole. We're about to go down the rabbit hole. And so we got two propositions. Average men are not good enough, or they have aged out and they don't know it. Which one do you want to attack?
You're saying average men?
Average men are not good enough, or they have aged out and don't know it. We're going to do both, but which one will you go with next?
I would say they've aged out and don't know it because, again, the problem is we've had the last 70 years of inflating women's value in terms of their social status, in terms of their mindsets and thinking they're more valuable, but we have a problem of hoflation. Whereas, so they're artificially inflated their value, but their social status and their perception of value. But in terms of being ran through and sexual liberation and what they're offering to men in terms of traditional values that women had of the past, they have none of that. In fact, I think they're completely irritating.
Right.
But many of them are irritating. So I think they've aged out bad.
Right.
Because we have a gynocracy that boosts women up. Unlike a China, when women are 27, they're considered Shenyu.
Right.
Lower women. We have boosted women's value through corporate-sponsored feminism, government empowerment. And that's why we have so many of these women now, because they're hypergamous and thinking that they still, because they confuse social status. We talked about it. Social status.
Social market value versus sexual market value.
Versus sexual market value. And that's where the big confusion comes in now. But the Vivica 50 Cent situation is very unique. I think what inevitably happened to I think 50 is full of crap. And the reason why is because he was looking for an excuse to get out of a relationship with a woman that's 10, 11 years older than him because, again, that post-nut clarity depression, she was a hot piece of whatever back in the day, and he wanted to sample. He sampled it. He must have saw a varicose vein or some bulging whatever. And what happens inevitably is that these older women like Lisa Ray and Rebecca Fox, that's why, I'll tell you this story. That's why you see down in the Caribbean and down in the beach many times, these guys that are beach walkers, they prefer older white women because older white women are like Uncle Earl. They know the deal. They know if you get with a younger stud down there in the beaches in Gambia or Jamaica, you're going to have to take care of him. You're going to have to compensate him for his youth. Older American black women think that they still got the shizzit. They can transcend a younger man into a provider. So they ain't trying to pay. They ain't trying to send that Western Union to that dude on Jamaica. To Quentin walking the beach in Jamaica, older black women ain't trying to pay. So Vivica Fox trying to turn 50 cents into a provider, 50 cents is not going to pay money for old box. Men, just in their nature, will not take care of older women unless he's an absolute simp. And women don't understand that. That's why a lot of black women down in the islands, they get ignored because American black women want men that are younger than them to pay for them. And they're like, hell no, baby. Bring me that old Becky. At least the Western Union will be on time.
I had a story with a woman. We used to be friends. And she got mad at me. And I told her when men get older, our value go up. And she was trying to tell me some silly metric.
Well, they probably use the ED stuff. They like to tell we have
right
problems and stuff.
Right. And so I told her, I said, ma'am, you getting mad at me, but I said, you damn near over 50 some years old with menopausal. And I said, you are invisible to many men. She got mad and blocked me.
That's kind of rough, though, bro. Come on. That's tough, man.
But it's the truth.
She gonna get mad at you, man.
But is it not the truth?
I mean, it's the truth.
She's invisible.
Look, I say let these wild horses run free. And here's the deal, okay? Remember back in the day, you'll even see it in the islands, right? Sometimes you go around the islands or you travel overseas, you'll see a dude riding down the street and he's riding on a bicycle that has multiple parts from different bicycles. Okay? And sometimes that's what a man has to do today to get one quality woman. He has to get multiple parts from different bicycles so he can ride down the street. And sometimes he might have to get a little bit from this one over here and a little bit from this one over there. And maybe if he gets 5 or 6 of them, he can make one good woman. You know what I'm saying? That's how you gotta be nowadays. You may not be able to get everything you need from one woman. You might have to be like that guy who makes a bicycle out of the scrapyard. And sometimes you may have a mountain bike front wheel with a road bike back wheel and a, off-road bike frame. But you got to keep it moving because that's what's out here today right now. Unless a guy's going younger, you're going to have to get what you need from about 5 or 6 women, probably. I don't know. Put it all together. You know what I mean?
But this was spot on with the tip network. It literally came perfectly on time. I put this post up yesterday, and they came up with a video about a couple hours earlier, so it's perfect. Shout out to Tip Network, guys. Shout out to those two brothers. And
that brother Kenny said rather be kicked in the nuts. But the problem is, no, go ahead, brother.
Hold tight.
But women, you don't get creepy. You get hornier as you get old. It's weird. You want to do all your sexing between the ages of 30 and 50. But here's how sad things are. The value of vagina is only good from 18 to 29.
I never knew that I wanted to look at someone all the time or be looked at, be seen so deeply. That really turns me on. To hit my mic. That turns me on. And also, I like to be choked a little bit.
I love that the first part.
And now I think at this age, I would say, can you try this or give that a try?
You get an older woman single, she's like, hey, I just want a man. He got a job, I'm happy.
He's so old like bread, not like wine. I don't want the waiter to bring me a vintage glass of twat. You be like, would you like a 52 stinky vagina from the funk region? You'd be like, ugh. Better year than that, you ain't got to.
Oh, so embarrassing to say at 55. I don't think I've clearly chosen a partner that's compatible for me yet, with all I know. I'm too smart to have chosen what I've chosen, you know? Yeah. I could have given myself the credit for how intelligent I really am.
I think that there are a lot of women that want men that they're not qualified for.
Ooh, Sarah.
I do. And this is what I mean by that. Please make a bar graph for yourself. 1 bar. Okay? Next bar, same height. 6 bars, the same height. And one is going to be mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, and energetically. What I want you to do is I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. You cannot use 7. Where do you rank yourself? Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, and energetically. When you do those ones, add them all up and then divide it by 6 for your average of the number. What number do you have? If you haven't been to the gym and you are 75 pounds overweight, man or woman, do not give yourself an 8. Do not give yourself a 6. If you do not feel good, if you have low energy, if you know you ain't talked to God in 10 years, don't you give yourself no 9 on a spiritual level.
What's wrong with these type of women, brother? On the 1 minute, because we got a lot to get through. On the 1 minute, go ahead.
The first problem is she's talking to the wall. And again, their mind is trapped in the social media matrix that she's talking to. Derek Jackson has 4.2 million subscribers on his Facebook page. Every day he's telling women how wonderful they are, how beautiful they are, how sexy they are, how much this man does not deserve you. What a piece of trash men like Kosher and Peaceful Life is. Misogynists, haters, they don't know any better. You're a goddess, you're a queen. They're not listening to what this woman is saying. They're going to accuse her of internalized misogyny, and they're going to shed all this up. And that's why I can always say, let these wild horses run free. You're not saving these women. And who said it? If Jesus can't save them, nobody else can.
Right.
Maybe once in a while you jump on the back of one of those wild horses as they run past you, like a Tracy Ellis Ross one. If you see that wild pony running past you and like, oh, shoot, that one still looks good. You jump on the back of one of them, get a good ride. But after you're done, you better run, because you might end up at the Pride Parade. And you might end up, she might be asking you who you vote for. You know, what do you think about women's rights? And do you think that women make less money than men? And you end up in that type of mind destructive conversation with Tracy Ellis Ross. You are screwed. You are officially engaged in CNB torture, and your ass is going to be suffering. And that's when that post-nut clarity depression kicks in. Run, save yourself, book a session with the coach or clinician. You're going to have problems. So at the end of the day, she's talking to the wall.
She is. I agree. Let's finish listening. Hold tight.
If you know that you are so emotionally dysregulated and misaligned that you are incapable of navigating through conflict emotionally, you may not be that strong. So when you rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 and you cannot use 7 in those separate areas, if you are a 4, don't ask for no 10.
For some reason, we just can't find good partners. We're 55 years old. And I'm not saying Cree was getting clapped up, but I'm only assuming she was based upon her saying that I've made bad choices. I'm way too intelligent to be choosing the men that I've chose. That's what I took from what she was saying.
Even actually when you were talking in the beginning about, you know, the kind of people who approach you and like, well, that's just who approaches me. I'm like, well, who do you approach?
A vacation with Norwegian Cruise Line is so much more because there's more included.
Approach anybody. I've never done that before. Ever. I don't think I've ever approached a man. I've never asked a man out.
Actually are. We have to be realistic with what it is that we offer.
Can I ask you, where did you get that grading system come from?
I made it up.
What?
Because everybody is constantly comparing me to Kevin Samuels. And Kevin Samuels does the physical thing. If you could give yourself a scale of 1 to 10, no makeup, no lashes, what would you rank yourself? You can't use 7. Okay, well, how are you as a whole human? Because that's really more important. And when you look at the wholeness, because I believe that's what real, true life success is. Success is when you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, and energetically are happy with who you are. Obviously, you're excited for more growth, but you're excited about where you're at, right? So when you're actually there, you can look and see how I am.
One of the most difficult things for a lady to recognize is that when she's going through the process of finding herself, like Cree is, she's going through the process of becoming that woman that she feels so comfortable with, so feminine. Then all of a sudden she expects a man to recognize that. But the problem is the average man who you're looking for is looking for somebody much younger. Hey, it's a cold game, but it's absolutely the truth. Like when a man's coming up and he sees you and he wants to pursue you, but he's just not quite there in an area of finances and having himself together, it's okay for you to reject him, because that's the way of the world. Because while you're waiting to get everything in line, nobody has to wait for you. Nobody owes you the understanding that you need at the time that you need understanding. It's a good thing, it's nice, but the person who's going to give you that understanding is probably the person that you don't want. Understand me?
You're dating a woman in her 30s. That's like going to the grocery store and buying avocados. You better have a plan.
And it was funny because there's also a clip of Kevin Samuels some years back talking about the Tracee Ellis Ross types and why they go after younger men, because that's the only ones that would really deal with her. Like a CEO, a 58-year-old CEO of a Fortune 500 company don't want the Tracee Ellis Rosses of the world. They don't give a fuck about, you know, whatever she's accomplished. They want a woman who don't have a lot of mileage, that's gonna listen to them. They ain't gonna be talking back and all this bullshit and acting like, you know, shaking their head and all this nonsense. Yeah. So that's the type of man she would want, though. That's the type of man she would really want. But those type of men don't want her.
And this one's for the boss chicks in their later years, always talking about it's a shame that they can't find somebody. From Vivica A. Fox saying that one of the regrets of her life isn't having children. All the success in the world cannot bring the centering of what family brings.
And that goes back to what we talked about earlier. You and I talk about in the background many times. You know, they always equate social market value with sexual market value. Kendra G does this. Anytime she have a conversation, they'll say, "Oh, you're not in my tax bracket." But ma'am, your body is decaying. There's no shade at Kendra G. I think Kendra G probably would have been a good wife. I think she's a natural nurturer, but they lie to themselves. They don't understand what men want. The world never asked men what they want. And, you know, I always said Peaceful Life that I had to do write a book. I would call it Black Love Without Consent. And I appointed that because we never consent to ask men what they want, why they're black. We don't ask men what they want in relationships. And they think they understand what men want, but they fail miserably because they don't care about what men want. Men are the arbiters to relationships, and women are the gatekeepers of femininity and sex. But they keep talking about their doctorate, their masters, their bachelors. I got my own house, you know, goofy-ish, the masculine men like you and I don't care. I don't give a ish about your house, your bachelor, I don't care about that. And I think fundamentally because of the pride associated with Peaceful Life with their bad behavior, it's led them to shame. But because they're so full of pride, they don't want to admit the shame. I got a friend, and I'm not going to call her name, and she's a sweet person, but she's a feminist. Right. Highly educated sister, but never married. Never married. Right. Probably won't get married. If she did get married, then because her sexual market value is declining as her social market value is rising. You know, men, our social market value rises. Our sexual market value really don't matter. Height and looks do play a role, but women are more concerned about social market value because women are wired for protection. It's in a woman's primordial nature to be protected. Women want protection, men want sex. And so they're giving it all away. And so by the time they come into a relationship, they're broken, damaged women with nothing to offer. You were about to say something briefly. Go ahead.
No, I'm totally agreeing with you. That's what I'm saying. I totally agree with you.
Right.
And like I said, I see some of the comments. The issue fundamentally is that they don't care to the extent that, like, because we've created such a soft landing for them in the society, they're not pressed really for much of anything. And the only thing they really tried, what hurts them really is they cannot get the hypergamous relationships that they want. That's really where they suffer the most. But you see how the mentality of theirs is just frozen. Their brains are just frozen. And I see some of the comments and they said, they understand perfectly what men want. They say, like, even some people say female nature's always been is what it is. The issue is female nature in traditional cultures had checks and balances: family, community, religious institution, older women, the government, the laws. Now we have unchecked female nature.
Right.
And that's what has created this insane amount of delusion, visions of grandeur. And then we created the portal of delusion, which is the matrix of social media where they're housing their brains. So now we enter in a situation with the way that the societies ran in the government, you end up with a woman that really is just going to live that way until she just finally, she's laughing in the park. Like, what's her name? The old actress that passed away. The one was laughing in the park to herself.
From Sister Tyson.
No, the one who acted in the movie with Boomerang with Eddie Murphy. What's her name? The older lady.
She's dead?
Yeah. She's for single.
I can't think of right.
There was a video with her laughing in the park, talking about compromise. Compromise who, me? Never. Her name will come to my mind. So one of you guys remind me of it. But I remember that video particularly. About it, and they will go to the Eartha Kitt. Bam! Thank you, Reverend Reed. Eartha Kitt. She was the same type of feminist, and she just died a miserable woman in the park, dog barking in the background. I remember that video. It was a sad video.
Oh wow!
But they will go that way till the end.
To the end, right. And the same patriarchy that they hate was really what kept them safe.
Yes.
But now, like you said, these wild horses are running free, and you gotta let them run free. Don't try to save them. Let them suffer the recompense of their error. Let's finish listening. Hold tight.
Especially your family. From Vivica to Tracy Ellis Ross, absolutely beautiful ladies in their prime, looking good, aging gracefully in ways, but in ways they're aging like spoiled milk because their attitude, that boss babe, it's my way or the highway, got you sitting there by yourself on the highway. And if that's okay, lace them boots up and walk a country mile in them shoes. But beware, because you can sing those boss lady blues.
A lot of people think men date younger women because they're younger. No, men date younger women because they're less expensive to date. For the price of a pair of shoes. That's what it's like to date a 25-year-old. You go out with a 45-50, they want more than shoes. You go out with a 45-50-year-old, she's like, can you help me fix my roof? God damn, that ain't sexy at all. I gotta get estimates for this?
Polite savages.
We've already made the choice. Now you have to understand. We can never see past the choices we don't understand.
Ladies and gentlemen, the polite savages, time keeps on slipping, on and on. Moves like a train that's forgotten the tracks, especially for the ladies who thought they had all the time in the world to do exactly what they had to do, get who they had to get. They thought they could have it all, but one thing for sure, having it all is a myth. As always, we're only here to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as we see it. And these truth bombs you see can be a bitter pill, but at times you gotta shut up and take your medicine. So there's nothing left to do but get on up into it. Are you ready? Let's go.
You have blown your youth. You spent the years between 18 and 35 doing whatever the hell you chose to do. No heat, no judgment. But you blew your youth. When your counterparts who were looking to marry up and marry well were getting married their junior and senior year in college, the first and second year after college, they were married at 22 and 23, and you were laughing at those white girls and those Asian girls getting married at 22, 23. You get married after college, that's too young. We need to go on girl trips and having our best life, hot girl summer and all this other bullshit. Now, they're 10 years into their marriage, 3 kids deep, and their husband's a VP of marketing somewhere. And
You
while
do become a little more invisible the older you get as a woman, unfortunately. I spent a lot of my time being hemmed up in vanity, and now that I really can't be, I'm the second half of my life, and now I don't care so much about what it looks like. But it's hard in this town. This is not a place where I have the opportunity. I don't get asked out on a lot of dates. I never get asked out on dates. I don't know if it's being 55 in Los Angeles or if it's just a strange town, you know?
There are countless examples of modern women waiting too long or looking past suitable mates because they feel like their value is far higher, overestimating themselves on the open market. So this is one thing that is true, and I really want to talk to the ladies here because I'm not here to scold you. I'm here to hopefully help you understand the situation that you are at. The game is afoot. If you're telling yourself that you're waiting for somebody, that you have to find somebody to meet your criteria to be a mate, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you go years and years and unable to find that person, it doesn't mean that that person doesn't exist. What it really means is that that person does not like you, does not want you. You cannot attract that person. You see, you are engaged in competition, a mortal combat with your peer group is far vast than you believe. Because the first thing a lady says is that I'm not in competition with somebody 25 when I'm 35. That's ridiculous. But then what you don't understand is that 25-year-old wants the same criteria that you do. They want a man who's over 6 feet tall, successful, top percentile in earnings, handsome. And that person has a lot of options because he's not an average man. So you could be a strong 5 in the face looking for a strong 9, and guess what? You're going to be one of many, a harem. And he's there to share them because he understands one thing that you don't get. He has more options than you believe.
Welcome to Stay in Your Lane Insurance. How may I help you?
Why haven't you called me, and why can't I spend the night in your bed last night?
Well, let's see what type of package you have. I actually had you signed up last Saturday for our Smash and Dash package.
Smash and Dash?
It's actually one of our inexpensive packages, but doesn't come with a lot of benefits.
What does it come with?
Well, it comes with the standard would that could.
Will you call me?
No.
Can I stay the night?
Nope.
Cuddle?
Hell no.
Take me out?
So.
What package does come with all that?
That actually falls under our girlfriend package.
And how do I upgrade to the girlfriend package?
We'd actually have to run your HOFAX.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Question number 1. Have you ever smashed any of my homies?
Yes.
And I'm absolutely not saying that you're smashing everybody's friend group, ma'am. I'm not saying you're getting tossed around, tore up and tore down, passed around like a blunt amongst a circle of partners. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that you could just be totally regular, average, good-looking lady who values the wrong things about herself and doesn't understand that a man is looking for fit, friendly, and feminine. A man is looking for a helpmate. A high-powered man is looking for somebody to take the pressure off, to supply household love and warmth. And if you're a boss chick, a chick who's motivated, you may have not prioritized those things in your personality. And unfortunately, you can't change, but maybe you just don't want to change because you want the man to change to be with you. It's a cold game.
I said, because I get you have options. You're handsome, you're successful, you will have options forever. So it really is in your hands, your fate. So you can tell me I'm great all you want, but you're not pursuing me, and I know why.
And you have to maybe just possibly look at yourself in the mirror and understand that the common denominator of the failing situation is yourself, ma'am. And this is no disparagement to you. You could be totally fine, beautiful, incapable, but maybe the things that you're valuing in yourself, a man just doesn't value. If you tell a man that I make this much money and you have to respect the fact of my education and my degrees and bring this much to the table to be with me, why does he care about your money if you want him to provide 90% of the household?
Right.
Because I require too much, and that's all right. I'm okay with that.
What do you mean by that, though? What do you mean? What do you require?
I require discipline and intention, and I require a level of like investment in terms of time. And you know what? It's like you can say, "Oh, I took her to this restaurant, I took her to that restaurant," and I'd be like, "Well, what's my favorite color?"
And there you have the dichotomy of a modern woman. You want a successful man, a man who's making a lot of money, a man who's doing everything and putting it down in the bed. You want it all. You want perfection, but here's the deal. A lot of times, in order to make the amount of money that you want a man to make, he has to spend 16 to 17 hours a day doing that, making that money.
Right.
You expect him to come home and actually remember every little single detail about the life. It's not going to happen, ma'am. That man would rather do is be with somebody far more cooperative, ma'am. Understand that he is actually providing what she cannot find anywhere else, because here is the deal. If you want the top 20% of somebody, they are the prize, because there's only 20% of
Right.
He see you at the bottom 50%. The bottom line is chasing that top 20% man to get you broken and hurt on the side. Then you turn around and say there's no good men left. Well, you walk by the good men. You didn't want them. They didn't meet your standard. And the cold game is that there's a whole lot of chicks out there waiting to be side chicks for these men. They're going to extract the benefits of the relationship without the downfalls of the relationship. The evil side chick succubus will suck your relationship dry, and you'll never know until it's too late, because you thought you was ready for the show. It's a cold game in a cold world, and sometimes the truth hurts. But if you're scared, you got to take yourself to church. You dig?
Why can I be your girlfriend?
I'm sorry.
This happened before you. I met him before you.
It's actually saying that you're not eligible. It's just a computer. But last Saturday, you did help us fulfill our random cheat quota of the month. You are a valued customer. Next.
When you women over 45, let me tell you something. You can't afford not to speak to anybody. You need to be speaking to everybody you see. No, you go through. You need to be like, "Hey, y'all, I'm Cheryl. I brought potato salad." You need a bowl of potato salad every goddamn door you go through, because time ain't on your side.
Thank you for watching the Tip.
What has life been like for Peace of Life once he turned 50? You're a 50-year-old accomplished man, retired. What has life been like for you, brother?
Man, life is a blessing for me because here's why. I live in reality. I mean, I don't live the hope strategy. And I always go back to that quote by Thomas Sowell. There are no right answers. There are no solutions. I mean, there really
heard
no
some bad.
there are only trade-offs. There are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. So I understand the modern women. I understand their mentality. So I don't really allow them to get entrenched with me. So if you get married early and you've been with a woman for the last 20, 30 years, it becomes decisions becomes easier for you in terms of relationship wise. But we got to understand, we have to accept as men that women have changed.
Yes, very
These
true.
are not our grandmothers or great grandmothers.
Right.
These are not women that are planning to offer you any value to as a man. Many of them. I love them. I enjoy them. I hang with them. I understand them. But I understand in terms of the value they bring to your life, in terms of adding peace, happiness, or because the majority of the conversations that we have about them is about everything we need to be doing for them. They never talk about what they're going to do for us or how they're going to add value to our life. It's just not going to happen. So we understand we're dealing with a modern woman. We're dealing with a woman with a different mentality. And I always preach adaptation. I have adapted to them.
Very true.
Graduated from the red pill years ago. I have an objectivist mindset. I accept them as they are. I don't try and change them. My mentality is enjoy them, respect them, treat them kind, and let these wild horses run free.
Yes, sir.
Every once
Yes,
in a
sir.
while, when I
Yes, sir.
feel some spring in my knees, I'll jump on the back of one of them, maybe. But I understand that ride is going to be short-lived.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is the last part, man. This has been a great show. And this is a rabbit hole moment. This is some piece like that you and I talk about, and then we're going to end it. This is a rabbit hole moment. We're about to go down the rabbit hole in this one, guys. This is going to get real deep. This brother was saying, this white guy was saying something that Peaceful Life and I talk about all the time. So I want you guys to get ready for this, because this is the last part. This has been an excellent show. And I always love talking with Peaceful Life, very sharp brother, you know. He always get the rebound when I be alley ooping him. But we're about to go down the rabbit hole, guys. This is the last one. Then we're going to take it home for the rest of the day, and I'm going to relax. And hold tight. Let me see. Where is... Yeah, here we go. Down the rabbit hole. Let's do it.
Down the rabbit hole we go. This is a place where we explore, analyze, collaborate.
All right, this is a rabbit hole moment, Peaceful Life. Let's get into it, man. This is the last part. I want you to listen to this, man. I promise you, man, it's going to sound prophetic, because he talks about some of the same things that we talk about. Feel free to interject at any point. So this is it. Here we go.
Heard some bad news from a good friend of the family here. And I'm not going to say his name. I'm going to call him Tom. His name's not Tom, but we'll call him Tom. So Tom's been married for like 25 years. Him and his wife are what I would consider to be perfect, as close to perfect as I've ever seen. Both of them make great money. Him and his wife both, like I said, been together 25 years. Happy, healthy, always laughing, always smiling. They took trips all the time. They did this together, did that together. Everything seemed great. And just recently, I guess out of nowhere, she took off. She's been seeing somebody else. She divorced him. She crushed him. I've never seen him. Tom is literally one of the most happy-go-lucky, always cracking jokes, always making everybody smile kind of guys. Now, he's a union steam fitter. He has been for a long time. He makes really good money, and he's got some rental properties, and he's really good with money. So financially, he's always been set. Maybe not always been set, but he's put himself in a good position. And he said that out of nowhere, I don't know what it is, but she took off. I would never expected that to happen. And he's crushed. And she is right now, like as he told me, living it up with some new lover boy. After 25 years, like nothing even happened. And it got me thinking about something. Hearing this news all the time, especially from somebody that, like I said, I would never have guessed this would have happened. They seemed super healthy, super happy, but I guess it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Nothing's ever really enough. And
right.
This made me think this morning. I've been thinking to myself, at what point, like we've talked about many times on this channel, at what point are men going to start saying, you know what? I'm just worried about my own happiness from here on out. At what point is that going to happen? Because it's still not happening. You hear a lot of people say, oh, men do the same kind of thing. No, they don't. They don't. As a society, that's not true. As a society, we have men that still try to uphold a certain image, a certain type of behavior, certain accountability, and the women in our society have changed drastically.
That's the hope strategy and the dopamine, and he is 100% correct. Women in our society have changed drastically. That's one of the powers, but also one of the side effects of taking the red pill. You begin to see things for what it is. When did you realize, Peace and Light, that you were in a comatose and you finally woke up and you started just embracing things for what it is? And you said something that was very powerful, because as a therapist, we talk about assimilation, accommodation, and the last stage is adaptation. I assimilate by blending in, I accommodate by removing things that I thought was going to be beneficial and take on things from other cultures, and then I adapt. When did you go to those stages, brother?
I think I went through those stages in the early 2000s when I was a married man, and I really saw it firsthand what it was like to really deal with the type of indoctrinated woman. When you deal with them, you're dealing with a power struggle. They were not, many of them were not raised to be. Why? They were raised to compete with us out here on this work field, to battle us. Nothing about them is about how to enhance or build a family with a man. And that's really what the problem comes in, is that we're asking male lions to get with hyenas.
Right.
It's never going to work.
I totally agree. Okay.
They've changed. I don't think drastically or dramatically. I don't think those words even sum it up enough. Those are understatements. And even in my videos that I've made in the last couple weeks, I've gotten lots of trad cons that comment or message me, give me the same spiel as always. As a man, you're this, and as a man, you shouldn't encourage that behavior. Dude, shut up. Shut up. I am a Christian, and I am conservative. Like, that's what I would consider myself. Not a trad con. I'm more of like a new con, some kind of weird hybrid new conservative. I'm not a good Christian. I cuss. I'm vulgar. I'm this and that. That's what it is. Take it or leave it. But all you...
And that's prophetic to what you and I were talking about last week, man. You know, as I said, you know, I grew up in the church. I still believe in the teachings of Jesus Christ. I don't live it like I did in my 20s, but I do believe it. And I think even this guy, being in faith while calling out his own frailties, understand that even the church don't amplify that. And he's right. There are trad cons, traditional conservative women, but then there are trad cons that they talk traditionalism, but they're really con artists. Right. And so he amplifies it more or less in this conversation.
Trad cons that always comment this bullshit on my videos, you need to understand something. You guys are in love with the fantasy of Leave It to Beaver and the Wonder Years, like I've said before. That shit's dead and gone. Leave It to Beaver is not coming back, dude. Leave It to Beaver isn't coming back. Those women do not exist anymore. And the ones that do exist are fake. They are faking it. They're acting a certain way to get something. At what point do men like my friend Tom, who worked their ass off in the union since he was, I mean, he's in his 50s right now, and he's been a union steam fitter since he was early 20s, I guess. I think it is. Literally never missed a day of work. And I know he's spent a lot of money on her. He's done a lot with her, bought her a lot of stuff, In fact, she had a kid from a previous man before him, and he's gone out of his way to take care of that kid. At what point do we just start saying it's acceptable for men to just give the finger to dating and marriage and just be selfish and do whatever they want? At what point as a society do we just say, you know what, guys, just chase your money, just chase your fitness and your health and stuff, and just get hookers. Just buy these young, hot hookers,
That's not good.
have your fun, and then do whatever you want with the bros the rest of the time. At what point does stuff like that start being acceptable? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm tired of seeing this one-way street, this two-tier system of accountability and this two-tier system of what's expected. I'm tired of it. Like, it's a laugh at this point. I see vulgar, trashy, garbage women out here that are still being treated better than like good, respectful, traditional men as a whole by society. I see 10 times as many people coming to the defense of the scummiest, trashiest, adult movie consuming and size queen filth and vulgarity and hookup women that are consumed by that garbage. I see 10 times more people coming to their defense as the ones even giving respect to like good, respectful men.
Very true. Very true.
I can't believe as men, there's still so many of us trying to be like respectful and relatively traditional and wanting the family structure. And I know a lot of people are holding out hope for that because we're thinking long-term, the bigger image of society, and we can't let society fall. This is what's best for people. But I'm telling you guys right now, this is a losing battle. We are in a losing battle. Because I'm not going to say every, but almost every girl out here is laughing in your face. They're laughing in your face about these being chivalrous and respectful and traditional, and I want a good old woman. They're laughing in your face. They think you're a joke. They make fun of you to their friends about how much they have you fooled, thinking they're a good girl. When back at spring break, I did this, or just last weekend, I did that. You have no idea what most women have done or are doing. Most of you guys that are in relationships, you have no idea the gross, backstabbing garbage. You're great.
And he's right about that. He's 100% right about that. Some of the girls, y'all got his girlfriends, man. Some of the wives, some people in their wives. And we're not saying nobody got to be perfect, but, you know, there are some or a percentage of women that have sold themselves as wholesome. But if you really knew what they did, if you really knew what they did, if you really knew what she did when she was in college, if you really knew what she did at other times in her life, you would be repulsed by it. But we've been so conditioned to think there's sugar and spice and everything nice, and we've lost our sovereignty as men in the process. And that's why men got to go back to appraising themselves, living in reality, and not living in a facade that happened back in yesteryear. And this man is 100% correct. Very powerful.
Trustworthy girlfriend or wife. You have no idea what she's even looking at on her phone every day, probably, and blow your mind. You have no idea how many guys she's probably talking to or entertaining. And a lot of you guys are going to get mad when I say this and click off and get butthurt. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth. That's the absolute truth. I would have never guessed that my friend Tom and his wife would end this way. Never. Never, ever, ever. You know, and it just goes to show, as men today, you're just never safe. Doesn't matter how charming you are. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care about all the bullshit everyone says. I don't care about any of that. Because the mentality this monster that we're feeding as a society with women is it's undefeated. It's becoming this overgrown monster, this attitude. And again, times have changed drastically, and most men are not Either they're too dumb or they're just not willing to change. They want to hold on to hope. And I get it. I get it. But at what point do men just say, you know what? F this. F this. I don't care about, being Mr. Nice Guy anymore. I'm not going to do this shit because I'm doing it for no reason. The world has changed drastically. Women have changed drastically in our lifetimes. And most men still refuse to change or refuse to adapt or refuse to operate in the realm in which we live. They still want to operate in a fantasy world of 1955.
Yes. Key.
This is another topic for another video, but even what most women consider to be attractive physically and emotionally and everything, that's changed drastically. I have seen women in street interviews call Chris Bumstead a 3, while calling Lil Peep, the rapper that passed away, a 9. If you call Chris Bumstead a 3 and rest in peace, Lil Peep, that rapper, a 9, I'm just going to throw my hands up and laugh. As a society, if this is what women are going to think, I don't know what to say anymore. I don't even know. We're in an upside down world. What do you guys think? Is it too late? Do men need to actually wake up and start being more selfish? I know women like to say men are so selfish. No, they're not. No, they're not. The 1% of super hunk guys that have as many women throwing themselves at them as even the ugliest of women do, yeah, they might be a little selfish. Not most decent men. Most men are not that selfish. Most men are still pretty respectable. Most men are still pretty traditional. For no reason, because the women that they're seeking are not that in the slightest bit.
All right, give me the final comment on that, brother. Very powerful. That was very powerful.
All facts, and I totally agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
Men have to adapt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it. I can't say anything else to that. What can you say to top that?
Go ahead, man.
What's the question you was going to ask? Go ahead.
I'll give it to you. What do you tell your boys, man, about adapting and dealing with modern women in modern times? What stories have you told your sons that you would tell these gentlemen that are listening now? What do you tell your boys? Because you got boys.
Be careful what you pick. Be careful what you get involved in. And right now, unless they start changing the laws of this society, right now, as far as I personally, do what you want to do. But unless they start changing the laws and the rules where marriage itself becomes difficult to get into, maybe easier to get out of, but it just can't be a situation where a guy gets into a relationship and everything that he is supposed to bring to the relationship is controlled by the laws, the state. He's obligated to perform his duties by law. And he gets penalized in that marriage if it ends. And the woman has no level of accountability. Mm-hmm. So she has no reason to really abide by any of the social contract within that marriage once that contract is signed. So it's an unfair, unbalanced contract. Right now, I think this is the time to sit on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Until they change that.
Yeah. We're about to end this, man. Thank you for tuning in, man. This is what'd you get from the conversation before we ended, brother? You did a great job, and I appreciate it.
I think the biggest thing I get from the conversation is right now, men need to adapt. And because this is a situation in society, you cannot live in the past. You're delusional, you're crazy. If you find your peace, if you're dealing with a unicorn, God bless you, but you have to adapt in the chest and let everything trickle down from you as a man. Everything, your happiness, your prosperity, your peace, let everything trickle down from you. And that's really it. So
30 seconds. This is it. Just what you were talking about. 58 seconds. Here we go.
Anyone live with Earth a kid?
Oh, yeah.
That's not for me to decide. That's for someone who decides to live with me to decide. Not for me.
But are you willing to compromise within a relationship?
Compromise? What is compromising? Compromising for what? Compromising for what reason? To compromise? For what? To compromise. What is compromise?
If a man came into your life, wouldn't you want to compromise?
stupid. A man comes into my life and I have to compromise? You must think about that one again. A man comes into my life and you have to compromise for what?
You see how delusional and crazy this woman is. And that goes right back to what we said a few minutes ago. We said that part of intimacy is what? What did I say earlier about the psychosocial stages of development? I said part of intimacy is that you got to compromise.
Right.
You see my point? And she didn't compromise. But anyway, man, I know you got to go. Thank you once again, man. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, brother. You take care of yourself, man. Be well, brother. All right. All right, guys, we're going to end it here. Thank you for Peaceful Life tuning in, guys. We had a good show. You guys came through strong. We had a good show, a good time. I appreciate everything you guys have done. Shout out to everyone that donated on the channel. I really appreciate it. This has been a long stream, but it was a good stream. And I appreciate all the people that tapped in and showed love on today, guys. We're about to end it here. Guys, know what your worth is. Never compromise your worth for no one. And Eartha Kitt is proving what I'm talking about. Eartha Kitt and many modern women are deaf. They're not going to change, but you got to be the change that you seek to be in the end. So, guys, thank you for tuning in once again. This was a show talking about Gen X. Gen X women and why they are so unsufferable. And once again, shout out to Gregory Scotland. He was the #1 sponsor of the stream. Followed by Lady Bashir, followed by the Raw Report, and many others. But Gregory Scotland overall was the #1 sponsor. I really appreciate it. Thanks to Bashir and also the Raw Report for the $30. A good show, guys. Y'all have to enjoy the rest of your Mother's Day. And we're going to be signing out, guys, in just 1 minute. Thank you once again to everybody that's donated. Thank you.
Cognitive dissonance is a condition that happens for a myriad of reasons. Many times in modern America, men and women often do one of the following. They deny the evidence. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue to ad hominem attacks, meaning they attack the messenger instead of the message. And they will fight you or flee because they cannot hear what you are saying. And conditions such as this, tied into cognitive dissonance, often happens to those that have or lack self-awareness. They stay in a perpetual cycle of arrested development, exhibited by this.
All right, guys, we're going to end it here. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. This was a great show once again. Thank you to everyone. And once again, guys, y'all enjoy your weekend. And thank you to everyone that showed love and donated on today as well. We're about to end this stream, guys. We're about to end this stream. Thank you.
Look, I'm a rock star in real life. We was doing Grand Theft Autos, hitting lakes, home invasions. It was a good night. Take the goods to the plug, then he bring us back by 2K. Feeling like a baller, see the Jordan on my shoelace. Nuketown, stepping off buses, hopping on fences. Call of Duty, me and my niggas, we in the trenches. Camping at the crib, playing True Crime LA. Center dress, nice, bumping Ice Cubes, good days. Such a 90s baby though. If we grind it, then we grind it. Man, I feel like Tony Hawk. And my homies got the iron, man, they feel like Tony Stark. And you better watch your head, cause it get wicked up the door. Feeling like Kobe back in his prime. If we talking about the numbers, then I probably go LeBron. I'm a lion out the jungle, at the top I'm like the Dons. This my life, it ain't a movie, I won't be at Comic-Con. Look, big shit poppin', grinding like ain't no option. Throwing assist to all my homies, bitch, I feel like John Stockton. Every week I stay dropping, bitch, I stay consistent in. Hurt the blind, lead the blind, but I got the vision in. Know the street deficient, needed my assistance. Real since my existing ends, came a long distance. Some of these days I get too stuck in no ways. Blame it how I was raised, her shit get it displayed. Look, I ain't turning down to nothing. Bitch, hit me the crown or something. Unit full of G's, back when Lord Bass told me how to stun it. Pops was slinging, yeah, yo, he was getting to the bucks, but I ain't had 50 cents. Now my statement's in the plus. Fuck the brakes, I hit the thrust. Garden stakes, I leave them cut. Ask about me in my city, motherfuckers know what's up, but some of these days I get too stuck in no ways. Blame it how I was raised, her shit get it displayed.
Hit that like button and share this stream if you're not a beta male.
Nigga ass, loser ass nigga.
Your video with comments about a
He's
certain
a loser.
other female.
Just to let you niggas know, we don't need y'all. We want y'all, but we don't need you.
20 years later.
Our black men, we want all y'all back. Because we love you, we see you, kings. And most importantly, we need you. And most importantly, we need you.
And most importantly, we need you.
You can't.
If you a that's for the streets.
You can't delete the ski. You can't delete the ski.
I know a who used to suck dick every mother night.
You can't
delete your.
Yeah. Shut up, Kosher. Yeah. Shut up.
Whoa.
Shut up, Kosher.
Ballin'.
Take it back.
Like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin'. Like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for my bag coming. 3 whole years and these records keep running. Don't talk to me if you can't match the numbers. Ballin', like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin', like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for mine. When my friends go, it was simple. When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, then I strike. I go hard day and night, yeah. I go hard day and night. 1 to 1, no surprise. See the hate in their eyes. My brother's blood money bleed. I got the game in the squeeze. What would you do for some green? What would you do for some blues? Go pick and choose, the fam of the cheese. Some people not built like that. Some people get killed like that. Pressure like water, lights, mortgage. I've been at bills like that. Now I got kids like that. No wonder why I feel like that. Some people go to war for nothing. Me, I go to war for something.
Before there was the manosphere, I was. Before there was the internet, I was.
When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, bet I strike. I go hard day and night. Money on the line, keep calling. Money on the books, ain't all that. My kids, they'll be ballin'. Got a real bankroll, not for Instagram. My mama on the line, keep calling. Praying for me, know I need all that. Told me it's not about ballin'. Real blessed, but I'm still sinning, man. What would you do for a win? What would you do for your friends? What if this life is a foe? What if the dogs pretend? What if you roll to the end? What if you started again?
The kosher clinician.